And people are always like, why are you a conspiracy theorist if you serve the government? Bro, I'm a conspiracy theorist because I was in the government.
Because I was in the government. Yeah, are you fucking kidding me, right?
It's about baseball bats, plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability.
I've heard a bag of oranges doesn't leave bruises.
When you guys first got down there, what happened on the first day?
Demoralization.
Taking a dump on my desk, for example.
Goes, what the fuck did you go to Mexico?
Are we in the brink of World War III or are we in World War
We're
III?
fucking in it, man.
We're in it.
I'm gonna play with this thing the entire time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
That way, that way the audio comes and goes.
I play with it all the time too.
I do. I've deep throated this before.
Should we just share? We just share them.
I don't know if you've seen it.
We
but
sat down here to film the other thing, and that was the first thing I did. I sat down, I was like, oh.
I know. It's just, I don't know why.
And I was like, now I've got both Jacobs deep throating the same microphone.
Why does the shape of this microphone make me want to put it in my mouth?
Weird. These guys named Jacob, the phallic objects, they just really want to put it in their mouth.
Thick and black.
Just fucking.
Welcome to the 2A Procast, everybody. This is me. This is he.
I am
and
he.
This is
Jacob number 2.
Jacob number 2. Jacob
number
Tackett,
2.
Mad Minute Tacticians. You've seen him before. We've cried together, and now
He
he's
is here at the facility in the flesh.
Yeah. It's
got
fake.
lost.
It's not real. Nothing you see on the internet is real. You're living a lie.
It's on
Jesus.
this week. I had like whatever trust issues I had before. This week has just made so much worse. Like, so much worse.
I know.
But before we get
If
to
I
that,
wasn't already paranoid.
if you guys have not gotten into the Discord, what are you doing with your lives? You are a mess. Your mother is ashamed of you, and you need to get down there because it is the place to be. Yeah.
Yes.
Tackett.
If you are in the Discord, please mail me your unit or agency patch.
Yes.
I need them for something.
For full support.
Yeah.
I've probably already got 50 already. It's pretty
We'll jump into that more. 2A Pro?
2A Pro? 2A Pro. 2apro.com is your marketplace. Where if you guys don't know this, we have a marketplace that is on the cusp. It is on the verge of launching.
Edging.
It is edging. We are edging. Don't go on there and place your order.
Yet.
Wait, this is not the same day they're watching this. It's very possible that by Saturday when you're going to be watching this Saturday?
I can make that happen.
Or is it going to be...
I was going to try and do
doing?
desk pop. I was going to try and get them in first.
Yeah. As you're hearing this, 2apro.com is fucking live.
Boom! It's not edging.
It's not edging. It is
Nothing you
live.
see
So
is real.
this marketplace is a place for you to go on and sell whatever you want, whatever the fuck you want.
You
I don't
cannot
care.
sell people.
You can't sell humans. You can't sell illicit drugs.
Yet.
But it is essentially everything that Amazon and fucking Walmart and all these douchebag companies will not allow you to sell. We are allowing you to get in there unless you're not an American. And that is the other key thing about this marketplace is you have to be a fucking American to sell. You put anything on there. I'm not going to fucking say no. Soon we will have an FFL locator, so you will actually be able to sell firearms on there and locate them. And that is not even the best part about this. The best part about the 2A Pro marketplace is the fact that you can get on there and sell your shit, and 100% of the profits that are made by 2A Pro Marketplace are going to be donated into organizations that fund the Second Amendment. That means we don't take any money, $0, other than to run the actual company. So if there's a few points left over, basically it's a 10% commission that we're essentially pulling from each seller. And out of that 10% commission, any money that is left over after the bills are being paid, it's going right back in the Second Amendment. It's this self-feeding loop. Imagine if...
It's Ouroboros.
Let's make this fucking big. Let's make this huge. And the reason why I say this is because think about Amazon. 10% of Amazon, just 10% of its current size. And imagine all the profit from that going into the Second Amendment.
And not dick-shaped rockets.
It would not dick-shaped rocket. It would just
yacht.
not be fucked with. So yeah, this is a shameless plug. This is who's sponsoring the fucking channel is the 2apro.com marketplace, but we don't make money on that. And that is a fucking guarantee. That is going right back in the Second Amendment. Anyway, I wanted to say that because we're going to start getting it out there. We're going to start getting the word out there. Whether or not you're a seller or a buyer, just use the fucking marketplace instead of going to places like Amazon.
And if you Amazon.
And speaking of which, if you're not a seller and you want to be a seller, we have a 2A Pro course that I will walk you through exactly how we built our business and how you could build yours. And if you want to get on the interest list, the link will be down below. the 2A Pro course interest list, and it should be
The
coming out.
soft launch, when you're watching this, should be very, very soon.
It should be very, very soon.
I am currently breaking my neck editing it.
Yeah, and it's going to be like 80% off because it's only going to be 20% done.
See that math? See how that works?
See how that works?
Is that how math works?
Yeah.
That's how math works. So get in while you can, get in while you can fit in. And now on to the show. What is going down, Sir Tackett of Mad Minute Ham?
Not much. I'm so glad to be here. It's
so
the
glad to
last
have
2
you.
weeks have been kind of a whirlwind, and I mean, this trip to Mexico was interesting. It was interesting.
Yeah,
and we are officially illegal immigrants. We can announce to the world. Me and Nolan are officially illegal immigrants. I do not possess a passport, and yet I am here in California. And last week I was in Mexico.
Technically, we both immigrated to Mexico and back to the United States without passports.
Yeah, wonder how you did that.
Well, things are going well.
Super secure border. Yeah. They literally.
Fun fact, we didn't even hop the border.
Walked right through the checkpoint.
If you're wondering whether or not the border is open, these two literally just walked through it with nobody
open.
telling them they couldn't.
Yeah. Very
open.
So, but why were you down there? Let everybody know. What were you doing down there? What prompted it? What got it started? Give us the whys and the wherefores.
The cabal that is the media news, the major media news networks, the small media news networks, as well as the entire thing that you call the government is spinning a narrative that says, hey, U.S.-Mexico border, there's some crazy shit going on. Not state forces and federal forces, they're pretty much at gunpoint, probably going to kick off civil war, know.
I mean, they're not mixing their words about it at all. I mean, it doesn't even matter. Like down to like social media memes. There is a blanket effort right now to convince the average American consumer that at any given moment we could just crack. That
On what platforms are they?
Oh man, on Instagram, on everything.
Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
Mainstream media
Mainstream
too, right?
media. Oh yeah, 100%. Dude, you should see the thing what we've been.
I'll show you the
working on.
edit
Yeah.
that I've got right now. I'm pulling up clip after clip
crazy.
after news title after
crazy.
news title after news
You
title.
have, you have reporters that are down there walking, like we're going to get into it, but like walking the area that is clearly just set up for like PR stunts. They're walking that area saying that state and federal authorities are essentially at gunpoint with each other, ready to start arresting each other, ready to start shooting each other.
And then when you went down there,
It's
you
complete
found out-
nonsense.
Yeah, it's total
complete
bullshit.
nonsense.
They were like, no, we like each other, we support each other, and we're working together.
Yeah,
right?
everyone is super excited to have the further on support from like state National Guard guys.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
So
It's complete crazy.
imagine you have a group of like 20 guys, right? CBP, and you're like, fuck, we can't control this situation. And then all of a sudden, state forces are like, hey, we're here to fuck some shit up. Are you gonna go, nah, get out of here, we don't like you guys? Or are you gonna go, fucking thank you?
That's rad. Okay, how about this? So when we first started talking, just to take it back to the genesis of why you guys went down there, you came to me and said, hey, there's this event going on.
Yep.
Just for the listeners out there, what prompted you guys to go out there initially? There was an event that was supposed to happen, and then go from there.
Yep.
Like,
All right.
what-
So I was contacted by the state director for Gun Owners of America. His name is Wesley. Oh man, that's
Verdell.
Wesley Verdell.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Wes. Wesley Verdell said like, hey, I'm gonna go down. I can kind of get you backroom access to some of the other politicians and political movers and shakers that'll be there. But there is a 50-mile long, 1,000-truck convoy of 18-wheelers, as well as additional civilian vehicles that are going to go to the border and take our border back. That's what the convoy was called. It was TOBB.
essentially kind of trying to emulate what
Happened in Canada.
happened in Canada.
Really quick, he's also running for state senate,
Yes.
and he's a
no,
fucking
not state senate. He is running for state representative, and I don't.
state rep.
Yep.
He's a good fucking dude. Spent some time with him.
District 53.
He is
If
a
you live in that
solid
district,
individual.
vote for
Yeah,
Wesley because he will
absolutely.
agree with everything that we have to say here,
Yeah.
and that's very amazing. It's very refreshing. So.
Anyways, continuing on.
Yeah.
TOBB.
Yeah, so it seemed not just like historic, but it also seemed like a powder keg moment in American history. It seemed like something that needed to have cameras pointed at it because, again, it's being billed as you have federal authorities in an armed standoff with state authorities. We have a million clips of news reporters saying exactly that,
Right.
While walking the property, which is just clearly not.
And what's interesting is like if it's an event that is so historic that you're talking about state authorities with guns pointed at federal authorities and this chaos that really we haven't seen, I don't know, maybe since the last.
I mean, it's Fort Sumter, man. This
Yeah.
is what happened at Fort Sumter. This
Right.
is how the original Civil War kicked
Right.
off. Was you had 13 Democratic states remove Abraham Lincoln from the not the docket. Yeah, the docket. Yeah, you had 13 Democratic states that said Abraham Lincoln, you can't even vote for him in this state. And then ultimately you had a standoff around Fort Sumter, and someone let a round loose. Civil War. So the way that it's being billed through mainstream media is that we are walking into a civil war.
And because of this, the importance of it
Couldn't be understated.
Literally warranted. We need to get the real fucking news because we're not going to trust. I don't care if it's CNN or Fox to give me to give me the truth. And the reason why is because you brought up something really interesting when we were talking about it, which was there is a motivation on both sides not to give you the correct information.
Always.
So
always. Both sides seem
I
believe,
think-
right?
So I think we can obviously let's just talk about both of them real quick about the motivation for either of those sides to push the narrative that there's this huge standoff down at the border, that these guys absolutely hate each other and state versus feds, and it's going to be the next civil war.
I mean, I don't know how much you want to get into it, like right out of the gate, or if you kind of push it off. But really simply, both sides
Tune in next week.
for part 2.
Tune in next week when we talk about Ukraine.
Yeah, even if it's a hypothesis. right?
Both sides have a incentive always in politics.
Right.
Both sides have an incentive to say that the other side is a direct threat to democracy. And the sad part is that you have American politicians that have slowly, over a 250-year period, said that the opposing side was the extreme side. And it has gotten to the point that they are just blatantly outright saying that we are about to walk into a civil war because of the opposing side.
Right.
So if you remove the problem, then there isn't a way to campaign for money. Right. How do you raise money for your campaign when the only way that you can raise money as an American politician is to say that if we don't win this election, democracy dies?
Right.
That mistake inside of American politics is going to fracture the country.
Sure.
Especially when you paint the other side as trying to destroy the country.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And you can see it heavily on the conservative side of stuff. You can see it with all of the transgender agenda stuff. How much is that really playing out in our society? And yet, if you watch conservative news, I mean, it's everywhere, every single day. There's a man in a dress like molesting a child. Is that really what's happening?
Right. And we're not saying that it's
I'm not agreeing with any of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but, like,
absolutely.
is that
But
really
we have
the
to raise
truth?
the fucking question. Is
Right.
is this the absolute truth? So I'm glad that you guys went down there to do that, because on the flip side of that fucking coin, looking at it from a more democratic standpoint, their incentive, I would assume, is just to get anybody that they possibly can across the fucking border, because obviously those
rolls.
Statistically, migrants vote Democrat at least the first year of their
Which is really interesting.
stay
that
here.
It's just the first year. When you look at, I mean, the majority of migrants are typically Hispanic.
Yeah.
Hispanic core values tend to align more with conservative values, family first kind of values, religious values.
Yep.
So they kind of come over and they're thankful to the group that got them here. So they vote Democrat, and then they live here for 4 years and go, uh-oh.
wait a second.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from Cuba. I've seen this before. Right?
Yeah, wait a second.
I've seen communism.
Yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
socialism.
Does it, like, the fact that we talk about threatening democracy, and words matter? I think we can all agree on that. So if words matter, calling it a fucking democracy, you brought something else up that was interesting when I was talking to you the other day, and it was, are we a democracy?
Right.
Right?
No.
Is that what we were founded to be, is a democracy, or is it
No,
a constitutional republic?
We still stand as a constitutional republic. Hasn't
Right.
been changed.
Technically. But
Yeah.
he kind of correct. We were filming earlier today, and he was like, hey, you sure you want to say that we're a democracy? Because we're not. And I was like, man, it's always easier to just not bring, it's so hard to try to explain to the average American public that we are a constitutional republic and
Right.
not a democracy. Greece was a democracy. We are not. But because that then brings into the question of like what happened during the Civil War.
But we still do, even though we are a constitutional republic, we have a lot of our basis in democracy. Because if you think about it, even though, in my opinion, it's a complete and total fucking joke, when it goes to like voting on bills or voting on your president, right? It's a democratic vote, essentially.
Democratic system.
Right, in play. But there are different checks and balances on how that actually goes through, like the Electoral College. Because if it was a democratic vote, it would just be 50 votes here, 51 votes here. This one wins.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So when you guys first got down there, what happened on the first day?
Demoralization. So we get down there, first day, we hit Eagle Pass, just head straight towards it.
What's Eagle Pass?
So Eagle Pass and Shelby Park. Eagle Pass is the border town right next to Piedras Negras. A little Spanish accent coming up. Anyways, that's the border town right there. There's the international bridge going across, connecting the two over the Rio Grande. Eagle Pass is the town. Shelby Park is the actual park that is like a golf course, which people are still golfing on.
Yeah, it's crazy. You had like 15 governors down there and all the security, and there were people still playing golf.
Yeah, like you look over and there's people playing golf. It's
Such a joke.
unbelievable.
Such a joke.
Anyways, so Shelby Park has been the focal point for this like migrant crossing, right? All these people coming in droves. And so the reported numbers is that about 1,000 people per day, these large swaths of people just coming across. So the bridge, look at it like this. The bridge is right here. 150 yards away is maybe Shelby Park, where the crossing is on the Rio Grande.
Can you drop this on a map?
Yeah, I'll pop it up.
On the thing.
It's essentially the border, the actual border checkpoint there, like where the CBP like receiving center is on a bridge over top of the Rio Grande.
Yep.
And Shelby Park kind of exists directly underneath of it.
Yeah.
But it's literally just an open picnic area, golf course kind of.
Yeah.
It's a nice little area.
So we get there and we are expecting a standoff.
Right.
I'm expecting fighting positions,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Like this is being billed like there's federal authorities like at gunpoint.
I'm
like,
expecting to see federal troops just like chilling back, like giving the side eye to these state troops that are also giving the side eye right back.
Yeah.
Turns out that's not the case. There are no federal troops there, besides for CBP, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're federal agents.
Right.
But National or State Guard is down there. We said, by the way, in the video that we released, we said National Guard. It's State Guard, whatever.
State Guard.
Get
it's
over it.
Texas
It's
State Guard, and we said National Guard
yeah.
like 7 million times.
Suck it.
It's difficult.
It's
this
okay.
job is difficult.
You could put it in the edit.
Yeah, that's what I'm
just
gonna
up
do.
on screen.
Just
Bing,
pop.
State Guard correction.
Doing my best.
Yeah. Sometimes people misspeak. Okay. But there was a police barricade keeping us from getting down to the actual. Keeping us from getting down to the gate. We asked what was going on. They were like, "Oh, what did he call it?"
He literally just said that it was an incident.
Oh, yeah,
It was that other
yeah.
YouTube like news channel that was down there that kind of gave us like a little bit of a
Yeah. So this dude was like, an incident happened yesterday, so we blocked off being able to get down to the park. And I'm like, okay, what incident? He's like, I can't say. It was just an
a bunch of
incident. It was
nonsense.
bad enough for us to have to close this off. And I'm like, okay, I don't believe you. I turned around and I saw another YouTuber there who gives pretty unbiased news reports.
Okay.
And so I walked right over. I was like, bro, seen your stuff. It's great. What happened?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, somebody got into a fight.
like a fist fight.
They're like, we don't even really know if like anything bad happened, but they're just looking for a reason to close this off.
Where they closed it off too, like made no sense because there was like a whole, it was a block off. So there's a whole row of like houses and people that live there.
Yeah.
So like we were down there and someone like, because we had to sneak past the police lines to get down to like where like the media and press were allowed in because we're not like official media and press.
Because
which that is a funny thing.
We'll get into that in a
on the
second.
next trip.
Yeah.
Which is fucking hilarious because look, if I want to get on nationally syndicated news and then just fucking lie to the public, I will give you a fucking pass.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Go on
But if
Etsy.
I want to
Go on
deliver the
Etsy.
news as an independent news outlet, like Tacticon News Network, TNN.
Yeah.
All you need is a laminated thing with a picture of your name on it, and it says press on the bottom. You could probably get away with a handwritten fucking note from your mom. Honestly.
Literally, all we have to do is get a plastic card that has a picture of us and says news or press.
Oh, sweet.
If you stood up to Tacticon News Network, it's on camera now. If you stood up to Tacticon News Network, we could get into governor's briefings and stuff. It's
Really?
It's that fucking simple.
Man, the internet's kind of a scary place. There's not good physical security when it comes to politicians. That's what I learned from the trip also.
Yeah. So anyways, continuing on with this, there's nothing. There's nothing. We're seeing what's going on. We question crossing the border, but we weren't sure at the time because we didn't have passports.
We got down there.
I
and
just want to ask, so you guys are standing there and you see a clear line of sight to I could cross the border right there if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Shelby Park area is probably the area that you see on the news.
Right.
Maybe 400 meters.
At most.
At most. Yeah.
At most. You're talking single stack connexes, bumper to bumper, all the way through.
No, it was double.
Were they double?
It was double.
And then you got triple strand on the opposing side of that and triple strand across the top of it. That setup that you see on the news runs for maybe 400 meters.
400 meters.
Yeah, you can, when we got over
this
to the
massive
Mexican,
blockade.
Yeah, when we got over to the Mexican side, you can literally stand on the Mexican side of the Rio Grande and look, and you just be like, well, that's where I'll go.
Yeah.
It's complete ludicrous.
Yeah.
And the entire thing is being billed at that Governor Abbott, 2 weeks ago, stood up the Texas State National Guard. I got it right that time. Stood up the Texas State National Guard, and they went down there and stopped immigration as a whole 95 to 99%.
Nope.
All they did was stop immigration
At Shelby Park.
at Shelby Park. It's like stopping it in a Walmart parking lot.
Yeah. It stopped from
ludicrous.
1,000 a day down to 30 a week there. So that's something.
Right there.
Just right
But-
there.
But right,
Right
there.
there.
Yeah, not anywhere else.
So now they just go upriver or downriver.
Okay, so what I can equate this to is this. You dam a fucking lake, right? You've got an entire town underneath, and all this water's about to fucking break,
Yeah.
right? And you've dammed this one piece. But this levee over here, on the left-hand side,
it's not
it
even-
busts, and then the water floods the entire
not
fucking
even
town
a levee.
anyway. So is it relevant that you dammed this part of the lake if the town is still fucking flooded? No. Nobody gives a fuck.
No.
Nobody cares. What we
It's not-
care about is the fact that my house is fucking flooded because that dam wasn't set up appropriate enough. I don't care where the water came from.
It's not even like it's not even a levee. It's not like they dammed it up and like somewhere else pressure will break the system. It's sticking your hand underneath the faucet water.
And it's just
That's it.
Oh, it's just pouring around the side.
The same day that they were like, all right,
Better
Shelby Park's
analogy.
good, they were like, we're just 50 feet down the road.
yeah.
Got it. So whatever's under your hand is kind of protected.
Yep. As long as the news media is looking directly at my palm, then everything's good to go.
That's
It was so disappointing. We got down there. We're like, I kept apologizing to him. Like, man, I'm sorry. Like, I wasted your time. I wasted like Jake's funding. Like, this is dumb. There's nothing going on here.
And then,
But little did we know.
then it got worse.
That was the story.
So then it got worse that day because we were like, all right, well, this was a letdown here at fucking Shelby Park. So
But the trucker convoy is going to be amazing.
it's going to be 50 miles long. It's going to be people ready
and
to.
we're getting.
And this was
active-
supposed to happen the next day. This is you're expecting trucker convoy to come in on Saturday.
No, this is the same day. So this is Saturday.
This is all the same.
Sorry,
day.
I
Okay,
flew
got
in.
it.
We went to bed.
Got it.
Then, so that's what I consider the first day.
Got it.
But we're getting active. We're getting active updates like the whole time we're there. That all these different politicians are going to come speak. That there's
not
Nancy Pelosi.
No, not Pelosi.
Or Sarah Palin.
Sarah Palin will
Ted
be there.
Nugent,
Ted
like all
Nugent.
this,
Yeah.
just bad information. We're just getting fed bad information the entire time. We're also told that like the convoy. That's where we find out that it's 50 miles long, 1,000 trucks. Like all of this is like information that we're like seeing on our phone. It's
Yeah.
information being pumped by mainstream media. There's an extremist rally coming down to this like particular area in Texas. Like.
And we're like, okay, this is nothing but this.
Yeah, we're like, well, all right,
gonna be
Eagle
crazy.
Pass is a bust because they've stopped immigration. There's nothing really to like report on here. They've done a good job. We'll go to the truckers rally and like that will be, I don't want to say entertaining, but like,
wild.
yeah,
A little
that'll-
more
that'll
action.
be-
Yeah.
that'll be wild,
Yeah.
right?
It'll be something.
Yeah.
Again,
And how many trucks showed up?
It was a church service.
yeah. I want to say that there was 4 tractor trailer trucks there, and I think that they were all parked on property before the convoy got there.
So somebody said, I don't trust this person
Quotes.
for the fucking life of me.
Yeah.
Somebody was like, oh yeah, part of the convoy took off yesterday to head out to Arizona. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense
Yeah.
What?
at all. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I still want to throw it out there, but I don't
Supposedly
trust him.
that rally happened in a location in Arizona and a location in California all at the same time. But just judging from what we've seen, even if it did, you're looking at 1,000 people between all 3 rallies in total.
Yeah. So,
With more than half of that crowd being vendors and media covering the event.
yeah.
So at this point,
And a couple door
you show up.
kickers.
Yeah,
There's
and a couple
there's
federal door kickers.
200 feet worth of trucks blocking absolutely nothing.
No, they weren't blocking anything. It was just a lot. There was like 4 semis on this like ranch property.
Yeah.
There was a stage. There were vendors. There was
It was a campaign
vendors?
rally.
There
It was
was
a campaign rally.
It was
Yeah.
a campaign rally.
Yeah.
100%.
No,
So it
100%.
was half church service, half campaign rally.
Is
Yeah.
that the you kind of did this
Yep.
pan with your phone?
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
what you
Tell
panned
me
with
what
your
you saw
phone?
in that crowd, man.
Yeah.
Was there anybody there that was under the age of 65? Was there anybody there that had a blood sugar content under 450? And like not to be like harsh, but like
No,
there
I
is
know.
a certain
Yeah.
personality type inside of society that's just easily persuadable.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the only people that were there.
Yeah.
It was people that were easily persuadable, and then people that were there to take advantage of them, from politicians to vendors to the media.
Absolutely.
And that was it.
You can get up on stage, pretty much say whatever rhetoric you want. They'll chant, say yay, absolutely. It
That's
doesn't
exactly
matter.
what I was
You could say the evilest, most racist shit up on that stage, and every single one of those guys will be like, yeah.
it's all
Not
the
one of them
clips
will
you
turn
need.
around and go, you know what, that's not right. I don't agree with that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily persuadable people.
Easily persuadable people.
It was stuff
Echo
like
chamber.
It's stuff exactly. It was an echo chamber. It was misfits who wanted to belong. And again, not to sound mean, but that's what it was. It was these people who wanted to group together and have this echo chamber. And we need to defend our families. Yeah.
The political rhetoric was the part that was
like-
so disgusting to me because it was half church sermon.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it was also like the rhetoric would be like, we in America, we have to hold tight to our AR-15s. You have to have an AR-15 to defend your family. We don't believe in offense. We only believe in defense. We're going to defend your family. And then 30 seconds later, it's the Biden administration and this border crisis is a direct threat to your family. Like the rhetoric, all of the rhetoric is just an effort to gain campaign financing.
Right.
But it's legitimately dangerous rhetoric. Like for all the coverage over like January 6th, trying to blame Trump, motivating people, the speeches that we heard there was considerably worse than anything that got said on January 6th.
It was diversifying and galvanizing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's where our original suspicion of like, I think the GOP is complicit in this. That was the moment that we were like, man, there is an incentive structure here to even people that are 2 miles away from this Eagle Pass like crossing,
Right.
are lying to the people in this crowd to get campaign donations.
And the reason you know this is because you're literally there watching it happen firsthand. You're going, the information that's being disseminated by the GOP is not the things that are actually happening on the border.
Correct.
No.
I'm not
and
watching.
this is not hypothesis.
They know. It's one thing not to defend the Democratic side, because I think at this point I don't want to defend any politician at all, other than Wes.
Yeah, this is...
But
And Brandon.
Yeah, and Brandon. That's
And I don't
another
even
good point.
consider you guys politicians.
You know what? The thing about politicians is I genuinely do like Wes. I probably has amazing intentions when he gets in, and hopefully he keeps them. But I think what's actually
You
what
get stuck in
happens
the
is
mud, man. You get stuck in the mud.
you get in there with the best intentions. I don't doubt that most politicians get into politics with the best intentions. I want to change the thing. I want to fix the thing. I really do. I maybe it's just me being optimistic, but I genuinely think a lot of them when they first decide I'm going to do some things and I'm going to change some things. But when you get fucking in there and you realize you need to stay in there, and then you play this fucking game to do whatever you got to do to maintain your fucking position in there, because
Like the military officer structure?
yeah, like the military fucking officer structure.
I just learned about that. Anyways, continue.
I just blew his mind on how like they get rated on their yearly evals, how you can only have one that's excellent and everyone else just wasn't good enough, and then one is the worst. Even if all 4 or 5 of your officers were the best, even if they were all actually excellent, someone has to be the best and someone has to be the worst.
Oh, you're talking about in the OER?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Like
your
the-
OER,
yeah.
like that what a perverse structure. And that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole different conversation.
Yeah,
It is
That's what's
entirely
wrong with
different.
our
Right, yeah.
entire society right now.
It
is
really
that
fucking
those-
is. No,
it's-
but
it's
I
every-
love fucking tangents, and this is what podcasts are for, is to go down the rabbit hole of fucking
OER
tangents.
ranking
So-
structure. Okay,
Yeah.
this is a really good point that
Hold
we're
on.
going to have to come back to.
I want to throw this in here talking about the muck, right? Cleaning out the swamp. You know that we all know the adage, one bad apple spoils the whole batch.
Right.
Except it's a whole batch of bad apples and one good one gets dropped in there. What do you think's going to happen?
He gets rated the worst.
It is impossible to fucking survive in an
Make waves,
environment like that.
Make waves. Tell your higher ups inside of the military, any law enforcement agency, any federal agency, inside of any fire department agency, be the one guy that presents a problem that says, hey, we might actually have an issue.
Yep.
They're not going to address the problem. They're going to burn you. And so all the good guys leave.
Yep.
So exactly that point. It's not.
Well, look what
some bad apples.
You could talk for a
They've
second
built
about
an
what happened to you in
incentive
the if you're comfortable with it. What happened to you in the fire department? That's exactly what
happened
fucking
to me.
happened
That's
to you.
exactly what happened to me. I said like, hey, half of this rookie school didn't pass their fucking EMT. That's an issue. And they were like, you're a fucking racist. Unrelated.
Unrelated.
Sorry, unrelated.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. I don't care what color, creed. I don't care what sexuality. I don't care if you're transgender. I don't give a fuck. There is an expectation.
And is it because by absolute coincidence, half of that class happened to be something other than
No,
white?
it's all
and so they
DEI
were,
hire, man. And
Okay.
that's like a whole different conversation about maintaining federal funding. You have to have certain percentages that you're hitting.
Oh, got it.
So,
Got it.
but
But they automatically just because it's an easy way out.
it's
Yeah.
an easy way out to I'm a troublemaker because I'm presenting a problem.
Yeah.
So, but I believe that when you're a professional, if you wear a uniform for a living, that uniform comes with an expectation of excellence. The general John Q. public, when they see you in that uniform, there is an expectation of excellence that you are bringing to that plate. That means when you put the uniform on, your job is to live up to that expectation of excellence. Right. Every single day that you're on that job, you should be striving to be the best at it because the general public believes that you're a fucking shadow ninja. They believe you're Superman.
You're
Your
supposed
job
to.
every day should be trying to work closer to being Superman. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if I show up and you're in a car accident, if you're having a medical issue, whatever, if I completely drop the ball and fuck it up and you die, really the only people that know are me and the department. The average citizen doesn't know that we did a terrible job. They don't. People believe that sometimes things can't be fixed. But the reality of it is we're dropping the ball. Look at Uvalde.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had 400 cops in the state of Texas that failed to fucking function.
Yeah.
That isn't a failure of the last 6 months. That's not a failure of that department. That is
It's
a
a
failure
failure.
of a 20-year-long incentive structure that allowed only people that didn't make waves to climb to the highest levels of power. And you see it now in the political structure. You see it in the media structure. The systems that we rely in, that we have faith in, have built incentive structures that only reward cowardice. If you don't say anything and you just kiss ass and go with the fucking vibe, you're going to get promoted. You'll get to the top of it.
Yeah.
So the incentive structure is so perverse that everything is unfunctional. Because
it would
why
be
is
like
the FDA poisoning us? It's their whole job. It's their whole job.
Yeah.
What?
So, well, that and
Man, I'm picking fights with everybody.
Well, no,
too.
well,
I'm
absolutely.
Gonna,
But
if
it's
I get
that-
shot twice in the back of the head, it wasn't me.
But it's that in conjunction with the medical system, right? Because if you got a bunch of healthy
Dude, let's
individuals,
talk about doctors real quick. I'll jump on that. You know,
well, it
doctors
goes right
Google
along.
everything. They don't know shit. They don't know shit. Your average paramedic, every firefighter that watches this, your average paramedic out there jumping off of an ambulance, they know more than the doctors in the ER, and I will stand on that. And every paramedic watching it will agree with me.
Yep.
They don't know shit.
C's
They
get
don't know
degrees,
shit.
baby.
They have a special program that you sign up and pay a subscription for that is the doctor version of Google. When they come in your room and they're like, what are all your symptoms? They walk out and they sit down on the computer and they punch all your symptoms into a Dr. Google. And that Dr. Google prints them out a thing. And you know what that thing is? a prescription list.
Yeah.
And then they're going to pick the prescription that gives them the best vacations, the best kickbacks.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Whoever
how did
came
the
in and sold
opioid-
them.
Yeah, how'd the opioid crisis happen?
That's exactly right.
That's exactly
yeah,
how
it's
it
because
happened.
the Sackler
Exactly
family
how it
was
happened.
walking fucking reps into every single
Yep.
thing and
there's-
incentivizing them to sell it.
50
Yeah.
million documentaries from pill reps saying, like, oh yeah, we broke the system. We broke America. We went around and put all these people on private planes, private yachts to encourage them to sell more of our specific opioid.
Right.
And you create pill farms. And then what happens after the pill farms? What happens after the doctors create all these opioid addicts? And then the federal government steps in. They're trying to clean up the opioid crisis. Fentanyl. All these people that are addicted to it turn to the street.
Yep.
It's
You eliminate one thing, they're going to find another thing.
Yes.
And when any other country
Yes.
starts seeing that fucking issue, they're going to come in either for a political agenda or for a financial agenda and supply that demand.
Yes.
Right?
Every
And so
single
from a
problem inside the United States right now was a breakdown of personal responsibility. That's it.
Right.
The fix is you. Personal responsibility.
That's right.
If we had any level of ownership on anything anymore, if anyone had a backbone, we reward people that don't have backbones. I mean,
And getting so that gets back into exactly what you were talking about,
remove
where
bullies.
there is no longer a meritocracy that is involved inside of police departments, that is involved inside of the military. It is simply, how long did you do this thing without pissing anybody off?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
Don't make any waves for me. Don't make any waves. I have to get rated 1 out of 4 this year.
Right.
I can't take a 2. I can't take a 3. I have to be 1 out of 4 this year.
So
Try to come back to Eagle Pass.
yeah, no, we'll get getting back.
It's just all connected. It's just
Well,
it's
it
killing
is.
me.
It's all
killing me.
completely interconnected, and I think the best segue back into that is exactly how we are operating in politics and the things that we are perpetuating, so that we can stay in power on the Republican side. Right?
Yes. Yeah. The
And
GOP
that-
has
the
has
GOP
capability,
has an
capability
agenda
this.
to scare the shit out of you with,
even if they make the problem up.
even if they make the fucking problem.
Well,
up.
I mean, that-
and then go ahead.
I was just going to say that is exactly what happens with the pharmaceutical industry.
Right.
You know,
And we can all scream that, like, well, the Democrats made up COVID. COVID wasn't really what it was. The Democrats did that to gain power. Well, what are the Republicans doing to gain power? The fucking border crisis.
2 wings, same bird, baby.
Yeah, you just gotta look at the event and see how it's being perpetuated. You brought something up interesting about January 6th, which I completely agree with. That insurrection, which kind of instated this ability for them to use an event to prevent
Any peaceful assembly is now an insurrection.
Right.
Yeah, because some
It
guy went in.
redefines the word.
Yeah, some guy took a shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk, and now everyone that gets together to have a disagreement with any level of authority is an insurrection.
Didn't he? Isn't he sentenced to like
Dude,
20
he's doing
years?
a crazy amount of time. Yeah,
20 years for
taking
taking
a shit
poop
on Nancy Pelosi's desk.
on Pelosi's desk.
Which you should be smart enough not to do that.
Facts.
But kudos, bro.
Yeah.
That was some gangster shit. The guy that stole the podium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the podium guy? Yeah.
Did you know he had like a family of like 4 and was a stay-at-home dad?
That's lit.
You should have known better. Where was your wife?
So
Where's your wife?
what is the just in your opinion about taking a shit as opposed to just walking into the facility? So if I were to be right next to the guy
Man, I love
who
how
walked
we are
into the
nowhere
facility,
near where we started.
this guy took a shit, I didn't take a shit.
Yeah.
Where is the crime between taking the dump and not taking the dump? Where
It's the people's house. Where's the crime?
Yeah, we
Right.
pay taxes. We own it.
Where's the crime?
right? Yeah.
Where's the crime?
Yeah.
It's the people's fucking house. Where's the crime?
Why can't I walk in there when I want to? When I
Where's
want to
the
fucking
crime?
walk in there?
Where's
Well,
the crime?
I mean, taking a poop on the desk is a crime against humanity.
It is. It is.
But
Is it? So Nancy Pelosi.
I can
is
totally
crime against
understand how,
humanity.
like, look, there are laws
That's
from
skin
preventing
back.
somebody from walking into our facility and just taking a dump on my desk, for example. Right.
I don't think there is,
Is it because? Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to do that.
Well, no, we're private. We're not owned by. They don't pay taxes for this.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking
I'm
about.
taking
If-
a dump on Jake's desk now.
Check this out. If
TNN
this is
or
a
I
public
dump.
facility, that is a public facility. That is a public-owned facility. This is a private facility, but it's open to the public during business hours. So if we had 60 people walk into Tacticon and start taking shit on people's desks, would they get 20 fucking years?
Do you have no trespassing signs?
No.
Then they've committed no crime.
No.
I don't know what the crime would be. I mean,
Well,
maybe
theft?
public indecency.
Well,
Maybe.
taking a shit on a desk, maybe public
not a cop.
indecency.
Yeah,
like,
public
I don't-
indecency, but how much time would you get with that? What I'm trying to do is like equate the two fucking things.
It'd be a turnaround.
Yeah,
You have-
they
but
wouldn't even
but
arrest
that's-
them. Are
but
you
that's the
fucking
thing.
kidding me? In California, you wouldn't even get arrested coming in and taking a shit on my desk.
This is one of those fundamental things that has driven me crazy since I was a kid. I used to get in trouble by teachers when I was in high school because the entire American public after 9/11 completely failed to understand that like the government will seize power when it can. And even as like a young high school kid, it was so blatantly obvious what the Patriot Act was. And so what came along with the Patriot Act was the term domestic terrorist. Once you could classify someone as a terrorist, whether they were domestic or not, they fell outside the Bill of Rights.
Right.
All that they're doing with the January 6th protesters is they're burying them so that they can never tell their story again.
Right.
And
Right.
the Patriot Act was fucking designed to do that. And again, the American public let it happen because we were scared. The American public allowed the TSA to exist while the TSA will let you fly with a 7-inch screwdriver.
Yeah.
True fact, Google it.
No.
You can
No,
fly
we
with
know.
a 7-inch
They told us.
I know
screwdriver.
that they literally,
It's just mind-boggling.
They told me while I was going
What's
through
the
the thing.
point?
Yeah, I get through the I did you know
You have TSA pre-check.
I did the pre-check,
Yeah.
right? I did the pre-check, and the lady pulls me aside, and she goes, "Why do you have body armor in your backpack?" And I was like, "I don't know, because I make body armor." And she was like, "I don't know if you can have this." And I was like, "Why not?" And she was like, "Well, it's body armor." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's
They'll
passive."
say the same thing about tourniquets.
It's passive protection, right?
They'll take your tourniquet out going through TSA.
Right. And the other lady comes up,
Why?
right, and says, I have no idea why this would even be a problem. You're good to go. If we can, her exact words, if we can let a 7-inch screwdriver through TSA, then you can take your armor with you.
So I
There's
would like-
no fucking problem with that.
I would like to point out for you guys, Jake, who has done the TSA pre-check, who has gone through forms, who has gone through all this stuff to be faster through the line, got stopped for body armor, while I, a humble little pleb, was going through the regular line, was not stopped for my body armor.
But you were stopped for bringing a 15 round.
No. It was just a stripper clip.
Oh, it was a stripper clip.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Was it just the...
it was 357 Magnum of Underwood, like extreme penetrator rounds that look like they can kill a fucking elephant. And the guy pulls it out, and I see him pull it out. I see the fucking silver and gold bullet, and I just went, I'm about to get a finger in my butt.
Yeah.
And he pulls it out, and I go, I guess I can't have that, huh? And he goes, no. What do you want to do with it? I was like, just toss it. He goes, okay. Zips my backpack back up and goes, you're good to go.
7-inch screwdriver.
7-inch screwdriver.
Again, the internet's going to know.
We
You
should make a shirt that says 7-inch screwdriver.
Fucking- with a big black cock instead of a screwdriver.
With a big black cock for no reason that it would just be fucking hilarious.
We'll have a TA and a big black guy.
That's fucking rad. So, getting
we're so on subject.
unsecured airports, unsecured borders. You get down
Unsecured
there,
politicians.
unsecured politicians. At some point in time, you're like,
We
okay,
crossed the border
so
illegally during the governor's speech.
Oh, yeah, that was during
Okay.
the... Yeah.
so you fucking you get there.
Bonkers.
Nothing is happening. Nothing that they said was going to happen. Then you go to the trucker route. Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And then at what point in time do you guys decide? You know what? I'm going to cross the border.
So I feel
there
like
something that happened before that?
I feel like there's good. So the timeline of events. We get down there and it's like Eagle Pass is a bust.
Got it.
Right. Like obviously the situation's controlled. Obviously there's not a standoff. But it's piquing your interest, right?
Right.
Then we go to the trucker rally. Well, this isn't what it was billed as.
Another
this
bust.
clearly isn't a group of extremists. Like this clearly isn't thousands and thousands and thousands of people. We go to lunch and we sit down with a company commander and a first sergeant from the Texas State National Guard. And that is when the story came. Because we were sitting there talking to those guys and find out that they personally had been deployed on the border since 2021, man. And they are living in a tent with no power, only generator power. And to stack on top of that, every single one of them is paying out of pocket for private insurance. They have no support from the state or federal authorities. If you die, your family gets nothing. If you step in a hole while you're doing a night patrol and blow your knee out and change your life for the rest of your life, that's on you. That's on your personal insurance. Do you remember being a private in the Army? I couldn't keep insurance on my fucking car, much less me.
Yeah.
There's no, and that was the moment that I was like, oh my God. If Abbott is going to deploy you, but not give you health insurance, then he doesn't care about how the mission goes.
Right.
He put you here as a PR stunt,
right,
but he has no interest in following up to see how things are going.
So which begs the question.
And it's not a new thing. It's not like it happened 2 weeks ago and they were like, oh, we just haven't figured out insurance. 3 years.
So which begs the question, where is a lot of that money going? On top of that, one of the acting company commander, he looked at me because I was like, okay, you're telling me all this is BS. I go, what is this then? And he just looks at me and he goes, we have armored vehicles with no mounted weapons. Take that for what you will.
You're just thumbing our butt. We're just sitting down here with our thumb in our butt. And it's not a comment on those guys. They are legitimately doing the best that they can. But every single local cop, federal authority, state National Guard guy that we talk to, every single one of them, the CBP guys, all of them can't say any. They can't give us a name, which sucks because like I can't verify these sources.
Right.
But it was the same story over and over and over and over and over again. If you get the politicians out of the way, we could stop this.
Or they could at least work on fixing it.
Yeah, the only roadblock the only roadblock that is allowing the border to continue is the politicians.
Do you find that it's eerily similar to the shit? Did you ever tune into the news like when you came home on R&R?
I would watch it. I would come.
I'm talking about from deployment. And you would turn on the news, and the shit that you were doing in Afghanistan didn't match what was on the fucking TV.
Come off mission and sit down and have Midnight Chow and flip on HLN and Robin Mead's on at the 6:30 morning show, and it's like, whoa, that's not even remotely close. That's when I started having trust issues with the media and the government because it was like, man. Yeah. Like, you're just lying to the American people, just outright bold-faced lying with a news correspondent that I saw 12 hours ago.
Yeah.
His news report, he was on the patrol with me. He saw the same shit I did, and the news report I'm watching of him giving is just a bold-faced lie. Holy shit, you know? And people are always like, why are you a conspiracy theorist if you serve the government? Bro, I'm a conspiracy theorist because I was in the government.
Because I was in the government. Yeah, are you fucking kidding me right now?
I saw how it works. Have you ever been to the DMV and been like, this place doesn't work? That's all of it. That's all of it. The whole government is a bunch of DMV employees. And the worse you are at your job, the less waves you make, the higher you're going to go.
Yeah.
Joe Biden isn't present with us anymore, and he's the leader of the free fucking world.
Yeah.
No waves.
No waves.
Literally
There's
dementia.
No yeah. He's got handlers. They can, just go out there and read the fucking teleprompter. He can't even do that. Don't even say anything. Yeah. It's okay.
He was talking about having some meeting with someone that died in like 1996 recently. Just ludicrous.
Is this not a fucking problem? Right?
No,
like, is this not a fucking problem? Are we not like? I think we just need to be more fucking angry about this because that enrages me that the leader of the fucking free world can't formulate a fucking sentence.
The ants can't rule if they don't let the grasshoppers rule. Like, if all we have to do as the average American public is just all collectively say, fuck you.
Yep.
The ATF makes 40 million Americans felons overnight. All we have to do is go, all right,
mass civil disobedience.
Mass peaceful disobedience.
Yes.
Mass peaceful disobedience. Absolutely. Yeah.
Come arrest me. Where are you going to put me?
Yeah. You're going to arrest 40 million fucking people?
But it only works if it's 40 million people. It doesn't work if it's just me.
Yeah.
Right.
Imagine if everybody stopped paying income tax.
Yeah. Overnight, if everyone was like, no, I'm not fucking paying that anymore.
Yeah. Well,
if we
who are
all
they going to
stopped
arrest?
registering our vehicles.
Who are they going to arrest?
How many times do I have to? I love that you said that. Yeah. How many times do I have to tell you that I bought this?
And that's exactly what we need to be fucking doing. Look, if you're not doing your fucking job, we're going to stop paying you. How do we pay you taxes? So we stop paying our fucking taxes. If everybody just stops, government comes to a screeching fucking halt.
You want to know my solution to this?
Nobody's writing a check to the fucking government anymore. Everybody's paying in cash. Yep.
Why do you think they want to get rid of cash? That's why they want to get rid of cash.
Yeah, they can't fucking track anything. They can't go after it. But that's how you do it. Look, if you want to, the government is our employees. Like, let's be real. If you really want to just break it down.
Tell them that.
They are civil servants.
They are civil servants. They are our employees. This is the way that it fucking works. And when I want to...
That pistol's mine, copper.
When I want to not pay an employee anymore, I
Fire
terminate them. But if we can't go in there and terminate them as a single human being, what also can I do? Let's say you currently work here, and hopefully you will soon.
Hey, it's on TV.
If I fired you today and you didn't come to work, and you kept coming to work, and I didn't want you to be here anymore, what would I have to do? If I fired you
It's melting.
and I kept paying you, what would you probably do? You'd probably continue coming to work if you really wanted to. If I really wanted to get you out of here, though,
Yeah.
I would stop paying you.
Correct.
I would stop the money transfer
Right.
between you and I, and you'd be like, fuck, I'm not going to spend my time here.
What's the point?
I have to make money.
Right.
I'm going to go over here
Right.
and do something else.
Right.
So if we did that on a fucking mass scale, and I don't even know how we would fucking orchestrate
Dude,
that.
it's the simplest solution. And it's I was like taking a shit one day and was like, oh my God.
Oh, please tell me, because I'm
Imagine-
thinking, okay, I'm going to do this year, and then I'm the only one, and then I'm in fucking jail. And I'm like, what the fuck, guys?
Prison.
Yeah, prison, yeah.
Imagine if politicians, right? If campaigning was them running to get hired, right? That would
Right.
be a good start. This is my resume. This is what I'm going to do. And then rather than us all just paying taxes into this gigantic system that it's 60% of your fucking income at this point, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if the way that things got funded through the federal government was a politician presented a plan to the American people and they just go funded me. Hey, listen, man, the Nazis are in Europe and it's kind of an issue and they're probably going to come here. We need some money to fix that. Oh, here's $100. Here's
Dude,
$1,000.
Or you mean the way
I'm
that it
Elon
used to be
Musk.
prior to 1913 when they fucking
prior
instituted...
to the 1900s, the way the system worked.
That's the way the
you
system
had
worked
to get
before you-
hired by the American people, and then you had to convince the American people to give you money.
Because
And
they had to go to Congress to
Yes.
get the money and not the
Yes.
Federal fucking Reserve,
Yes.
which is their personal fucking piggy
which
bank to pull
isn't-
anything out.
The Federal Reserve is not a part of the federal government. It is a private institution that named themselves Federal Reserve.
Let's
so you
just
would
change
think
the
they were a
fucking
part of it.
narrative on that. Let's stop calling it the Federal Reserve. Let's just call it the piggy
One
bank.
World Bank that's terrifying.
The One World Bank.
Yeah.
It seems to be such.
I'm telling you, they made Bitcoin. Anyways, continue.
But in all honesty, like you have people, the American understanding of history, just our history as a nation is so short. The average person doesn't understand World War II, much less the fact that World War
about
I
it, fuck.
was the start of a lot of this stuff. World War I was the federal government going, hey, this is an issue, and we need to control every facet of your life. We're going to take your sons and daughters away from you. We're going to take a percentage of your income. We're going to take a percentage of your property tax. We're going to do all these things, and when it's done, we'll relax.
Right.
They fucking didn't.
Right, but
And then
why?
they just kept
but how did they get
inventing
people
crisis.
to? But let's talk about like fundamentally and psychologically how they got the people to fucking do that in the first place.
Because everyone individually believes that if I ignore that sign, I will go to jail, but you won't.
Well-
if we all if 1,000 people cross
Right.
the border at a time, no one goes to jail, right? But
Right.
if one crosses the border at a time, you go to jail.
So the Mexicans got it
Mass,
right.
Yeah.
Peaceful non-compliance.
The ducks
And not
in
just
the park
not
are
just the
free.
Mexicans,
Yeah,
the
the ducks in the
Mexicans and the
park are free.
Yemenis and like God knows what other
Dude,
nationalities
it's
are
bad.
crossing the
It's
border.
so
bad.
They got it fucking right,
It's
right?
bad.
Because they were like, hey,
That's-
if we just do it all at the same fucking time,
man.
they can't get us
yeah,
all.
man. Dude,
So-
the stories
Even
we
though-
heard about who's actually coming across,
Dude,
it's fucking terrifying.
did you know the UN is funding these people from all over the world to come across the U.S. border?
Yeah.
Well, how else would they fucking get here?
Because that
Yeah.
was one of the things that we wanted to answer was, all right, we'll ignore the border crisis for a second. How is it that people from Somalia, from Yemen, like how are they getting to the Mexican border?
Where'd you hear this?
The internet.
Yeah.
It's like open source, like public, like news.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just just
Millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But it's another one of those like,
so the UN under the guise of humanitarian efforts
is
are
like
funding
$25
people from
million
other countries to get to Argentina and then to make their way up
assist the migrants, to
So-
help
to
the
make their
migrants.
way up
You-
into the
yeah,
Mexican
you-
border and eventually into the United
You
States.
can Google it and it comes up.
Got it.
It is.
I'm sure that Nolan will pop them.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I just
so
wanted to-
what I read, the first one that I read, they're $375 million.
Yeah.
Dollars.
But again, it's not like
$375 million funding refugees, and I'll say that in massive quotes, funding refugees to send these people over here
refugees
to
that are
cross the
being
border.
force created.
Yeah, and refugees that happen to be all military age males, like not
Yemen.
traveling with your fucking family.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Ed Calderon? I don't know if you know who Ed Calderon is, but he's an incredible story. He was like essentially like a one-man anti-cartel squad that was a Mexican citizen but worked for the CIA. And then when he retired, became an American citizen, runs an amazing training company now. Big shout out to Ed Calderon. He is Manifesto Radio Podcast on Instagram. Ed Calderon has a great thing about that kind of stuff. My brain just said, I don't know what we're talking about anymore.
No,
military age
we were
males
talking
coming
about
in.
military males coming across the
Ed Calderon has a great thing about that. He's like, look at the footage of caravans. Where are all the girls?
Right.
From puberty to 25, where are they? Yeah, all these families aren't bringing their daughters.
So
the cartel is taking them.
Now, let's put something in perspective real quick, taking them for human trafficking purposes, right? So
And
put
dig
something
into
in
why
perspective.
they left Guatemala in the first place. The cartel blew up their locality in Guatemala and forced them onto the road. And then once they get to the border, even if you had money to cross on your own legally, you're not getting across that border without cartel blessing. So you are cartel property now.
This was
and
one
your
of,
child is cartel property.
this is one of the questions that really spurred up in both of our brains is why are these people mass exodusing these places, right? Why are they mass exodusing South America, right? And what we ended up finding out through contact that we made on the ground, Yoan
Grillo.
Grillo.
Yoan Grillo is a freelance reporter that's covered cartel activity for at least a decade, if not more now. He's written for every major publication
He's
out
been
there.
on Sean Ryan.
He's been on Sean Ryan. He's been on Joe Rogan. He's been on. He is a legitimate source of information on these guys.
And so,
And he was his that was another one of those moments where we were like, dude, we're onto something here.
Yeah.
Because he was not only fascinating but like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It was just heartbreaking to hear his take from the Mexican side.
So-
and that was when we decided to cross
yeah,
the border.
so I was talking to him and I asked him that. I was like, what is the incentive? What is the purpose of this? Like, is life really that bad over there? Because people are going over there for fucking vacation.
I can see it from here. It looks nice.
Yeah.
Let's go get lunch.
I'm like, it looks better over there than it does right here.
Mainstream will tell you it's for opportunity.
It's because the cartel is destroying these communities. It's destroying people's lives. It is forcing and creating a migrant problem. They are displacing these people, so then they have to come to the cartels to then get across the border to escape the cartels.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, it's
Cartels setting their own fucking fires.
It's a tale as time.
You
it's a
create the
tale as
problem,
time.
you solve the
It's
problem.
old as time. Man, that was hard to say. It's a tale as old as time.
Yeah. And so, like, we were hearing these stories about the cartel literally killing an entire colony of people. One dude stole $5 million from the cartel. They ended up killing 400 people and dumping their bodies in acid barrels.
Out of spite.
Out of spite.
In 2011.
And this displaces entire communities. This gets people going,
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of this. I need to go.
We could tell these stories all day long,
Yeah.
but like another one that's just like a great, like one of those things that happens all the time. They had was he a police officer? Mexican police? He was a Mexican authority in some way that had spent most of his career just doing like amazing things against the cartels. And he got old, retired, died, and they had a massive public funeral celebrating the things that he had done. So the cartel immediately killed everyone that was related to him.
Wow.
Kill his entire family. Ended the bloodline.
And you're talking about like that, like that's what, 100 people, 200 people out of a community? That whole fucking community's leaving.
Yeah.
That whole community's broke now.
Yeah, if
and
the
then
cartel
once
can
they
do
get
that-
to the border, because we have no control over the border, you're cartel property now.
Yeah.
And then once you're in the States, you're cartel property now.
Yeah.
And now you have hot spots of cartel activity all over the States.
Also, if we found out from Yoan, let's say you paid them, or let's say you were working with them and you were talking about getting across the border, you now have no choice.
Yeah, you're going.
You're going.
And you're going today with this group, and we don't give a shit if you're 85 years old and the water is 20 foot tall. Fuck
You're
you, get in the
going.
water.
They are forcing people across.
Yeah.
Jesus.
The money-making endeavor for the cartels is to use those 1,000-person caravans as a distraction.
100%.
That is just a vehicle to displace
And they're making
authorities. To like, they can drive 1,000 people across the border,
Right.
and they know that this is
There's
going to
only-
draw all of the support in the area to that, and they
Got
can
it.
just float a nuke across the border down the road.
So now-
what else is coming across the border while everyone's looking at this?
Right.
So now, mind
Right,
you,
yeah.
they're already making, if they're not gaining a slave
What, I
out
mean,
of
what's
this,
coming through a tunnel?
right? If they're not making money, they're making a slave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's indentured servitude to them. But each person is $2,000 to $5,000. So you got 1,000 people, $2,000 to $5,000 a pop, or a slave that's
And
going to
making
work
that
for you
money
forever.
back will be like a Ranger PT test.
Right.
0, 0, 0, 0, forever.
Yep. And so now you have that going on over here, which we're going to get to that in 1 second. Like he said, what's going on over here?
Yeah.
Right.
You got all the focus right here. So we're talking to Yoan. We're going through this whole thing. I'm saying I'm looking across because we're 500 meters back, maybe,
Yeah, maybe at most, from the Mexican
where from where Governor Abbott. Was,
Oh, I don't even think we're that far.
maybe 400.
Yeah,
350
I was
maybe.
about to say something that would like probably. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like 350 meters away from Governor.
It was very manageable distance.
Yeah, where Governor Abbott was going to be given his thing. But there was a gate in the way. There was like a little bit of concertina wire. And I was looking and I was just like, hey, like you came from over there. You came from the Mexican side. How is it in that spot right there for photos? And he goes, oh, shows me.
Yeah.
I was like, that's perfect. I would like to go there. Is that manageable for me? He's like, I'll take you there. I said, that sounds fantastic. So we ended up going over there with another guy that he's working with who broke that story that I was talking about earlier.
400 people in barrels of acid, the guy that investigated that whole thing. We got to meet him. Amazing contact. There's more to come with all of that kind of stuff too. They want to take us to Tijuana.
Yeah. So, so he takes us across the border and it's just a clear shot. It's just right there. Easy peasy to see, where it's making it harder on the other side. Anyways, we get over there and we're talking about the whole situation. We're observing it. We're like, this seems a little silly. We're on our way back. It takes us.
The only reason that you got stopped for 5 minutes was
because I talked to him.
That guy was particularly grumpy, and then he found out why we had went over, and he was like, "This is my opportunity to tell someone that can tell my story without me getting in trouble for it." So he did.
So we get up. We're coming back. We're like, we have a flight. We don't want to miss the flight. We don't know how long this is going to take.
Yeah. We fully expected, like I have a buddy of mine that works for CBP. So I reached out to him and was like, hey man, like I don't even have a passport. If I cross with like just my driver's license, like am I going to get back?
Yeah.
So we knew before we went across, like I will make it back to America.
Yeah.
Right? They're not just going to be like, I don't know who you are. You live in Mexico now, right? So we knew we were coming back, but we didn't know like, is this going to be like, am I going to get detained for a month? Like, am I going to end up in a Mexican fucking prison? Like, it was very. I was more nervous than Nolan was, but
I said,
had
"Fuck
to talk me into it." But like we believed that we would make it back into America, right? But we just didn't. We didn't know what to expect.
Right.
We figured at least we would get sat down in a room and someone would be like, "You pissed me off, so I'm going to burn a bunch of your day."
Yeah.
Right.
And it just.
My biggest fear was now I'm confiscating all your camera equipment, and I was like, "Oh, please don't do that."
All your cards.
Right.
So
because when you're in that, I don't know. Most people don't know this. When you're in that. When you're in CBP custody, when you're crossing the border, you have no Fourth Amendment right.
Nope.
They actually use that kind of loophole to catch child predators a lot of the time. Local authorities will follow someone that they suspect being like a child predator, and they'll if they go to cross the border in any way, they'll hit CBP and be like, hey, can you wipe that guy's phone? So they'll just pull them into a back room and be like, I need your phone, and you have no, because of the way the law is written, you have no ability to say no. And so CBP will just plug your phone in, computer, whatever, and going to jail.
Damn.
Yeah. So
I probably shouldn't have said that. I probably just kind of ruined the game.
I doubt child predators are listening to us, but because we talk about
Also,
throwing them in the wood chipper constantly.
Good job, CBP.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Rock on.
Awesome. So you lose some rights entering into that no man's land.
Yes. So we get in there. We both walk up to our respective agents, and he walks up and he goes, I did the same thing he did. I don't have a passport. And the guy, you can explain what the guy did.
I walked up to the guy and I was like, hey, we talked to some CBP officers yesterday. They said that we could probably cross with just our driver's license. We wanted to get pictures of what the other side of this looks like. We want to tell you guys' story. Here's my driver's license. And the guy was like, all right. And they have to take a picture to scan
with
your
a Logitech
camera.
camera.
Yeah, dude, it's a Logitech webcam.
It's like from 2010.
It scans your face to just make sure that you don't flag in their system. My entire interaction was maybe 30 seconds long. And it's not a gig on the CBP guy. It's a gig on the fact that like that's the best that we can. I mean, it's the best we can do.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with thousands of people a day. Like,
so what you're trying to tell me is that if you got a driver's license in the United States.
Do you want me to go? Because I have a whole theory on this.
Yeah.
So go for that. I have to pee and then I'll finish what I was doing.
So you say you're a Tehran resident. Say you are an active member of the Taliban and you need to get into America and you need to be able to travel freely within America.
Right.
What do you need at the DMV to get a driver's license? Like you need government official paperwork that has your name on it and an address, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I come across the border and the first thing I'm handed is a subpoena to come back to court. So I have government issue documents with a name on it. Where do they get the name? I just announce myself as Juan Carlos, right?
Right.
So I'm from Tehran. I have evil intention. I cross the border. I am now Juan Carlos. I have government documentation that says I'm Juan Carlos. I'm here, so I get an apartment under Juan Carlos, and then I go to the local DMV. I have everything that I need. I now get a Texas state driver's license with the name Juan Carlos on it, and I can cross that border freely with that.
Right. without a passport.
Without a passport.
Which is exactly what you did.
There was a guy that walked by me, like when I was waiting on Nolan to come back out. A guy walked by me and he said, dude, you don't need a fucking passport. I work in Mexico. I've done this every day for 8 years. Like, and it's not a gig on CBP guys. It's just a gig on like the system's not working. The system's not working. In all honesty, like if I left the country without a passport, it should be a problem, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like it should be like, why the fuck would you do that? Right. I kind of disagree with the passport system as a whole. I don't really think the federal government should like tell me what I'm allowed to do like that, but the system exists for a reason.
Yeah.
Me just saying like, fuck your system, there should be an issue, right? Like, it was very disappointing. And the fact that you can get you could get a state issued government ID with the documents that they give you when you cross the border. How do you prove that person isn't Juan Carlos now? How do you prove that person isn't this new Alden? Why would you go through the effort of creating fake paperwork when the federal fucking government will do it for you?
They'll just give it to you.
It's so disappointing.
And so,
because how do you track that guy now?
And it's so fucking dangerous.
Yeah,
I mean, it puts
and he can
everybody
cross the border 7 times with just continue to repeat that process.
So
and now a dude that was born in a hole in the ground could build as many fake federal issue government IDs as an actual CIA operator would have in a go box.
Did they check anything that you guys had on you?
Dude, not at all.
Nope.
30 seconds.
So you could have had a backpack full of fucking fentanyl.
I had my backpack.
Well, not full of fentanyl, but
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Camera gear, everything, yeah.
Did they have dogs?
Nope.
Drug dogs.
Well, I mean, they had drug dogs at the car stop.
Checking all the cars and stuff. But like the foot traffic.
But the foot traffic, there was nobody.
With 1,000 people a day.
So
when we say 1,000 people a day, it wasn't 1,000 people a day swimming through the river. It was 1,000 people a day walking up to that office.
Just
and
walking up to the
through.
office and just walking right
we
through.
We saw no one turned around.
Damn.
The CBP has been instructed not to turn anyone around. This is an important part of this. The Customs and Border Patrol operate just the ports of entry. And then you have Border Patrol that they're responsible for everything between the ports of entry. The Customs and Border Patrol guys and the Border Patrol, they all fall under the same entity, but they have been turned from, you can't chase them out of the country. If you see them, you have to bring them and document them. So what they have turned CBP and Border Patrol into is a busing system. Their staffing issues are because they don't have enough people to manage moving the migrants around once they're here.
Right.
And that isn't just coming from federal side. It's coming from that's like Governor Abbott's like, we're going to bring all these people and we're going to document them all.
Right.
Why is it not just like, if we catch you, you're going back right now.
Yep.
I don't need to document you. Right. I can prove that you're not an American citizen. Bye.
Adios.
Right.
Bye.
Yeah, bad analogy maybe, but if I threw 10 dodgeballs at you and told you how to catch each single one, you would never be able to catch all of them. But if I said, hey, as they come at you, you could swat them out of the way.
And while I'm busy,
then you clearly have the resources to swat them out of your fucking
while
way.
I'm busy trying to catch those 10 dodgeballs, you insert any evil, awful shit on the side.
Right.
I'm too distracted with all of this stuff to be able to do anything about the actual problem.
Yeah.
Right.
And that is where it gets fucking scary.
Yeah. And so, continuing on with my interaction, I walk up, similar situation. He goes, all right, give me your driver's license. Hand him my driver's license. Looks at it. You got your passport?
Much grumpier.
I'm like, nope. He goes, why don't you have a passport? I was like, I don't have it on me.
He was pretty grumpy.
He was not a happy gentleman. I was like, I just don't have it. I was like, I talked to some guys yesterday. They said I should be able to get across. He goes, don't make my job fucking harder than it has to be. He goes, you have a passport, right? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, where is it? I go, Redding, California.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm proving a point.
Yeah. I was like, it's in Redding, California. He goes, where are you born? I was like, Redding, California.
Yeah.
He's like, he goes, you know the reason why you have a passport, right? I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm sorry, man. I was like, but I don't have it. This is all I got. And he goes, what the fuck did you go to Mexico?
And so then you told him.
Yeah.
So then I look at him, I was like, well, I'm reporting on this situation. I'm here with GOA. Like, I'm trying to see what's going on with this border crossing. I'm trying to see what's going on at Shelby Park here. I was like, I couldn't get a good vantage point. This is circling back around to Yohan. I couldn't get a good vantage point to see what was going on with the governor's speech. I was like, so I crossed the border because there was a better view.
Right.
I was like, because I'm trying to get video and I'm trying to get photography and I'm trying to tell what's really going on here. Fucker lit up.
Really?
He goes,
immediately changed.
Yep. He goes, it's all fucking bullshit. He goes, it's all a fucking pony show. He's like, the administration before not going to do anything or didn't do anything. Administration now isn't doing shit. Administration afterwards probably won't do anything either.
And talking about state level leadership, not just like federal, like saying like all of them are complicit. They are all actively tying our hands behind our back. All of the politicians want this to continue.
Yeah.
Why would he lie?
Yeah. He has no reason to.
What's the incentive for him to
Just telling some random dude, right?
Yeah.
I'm just some random guy. and
He just knows that you're going to go back and be the voice that he can't have.
exactly.
And that was every interaction we had, even just like, you're driving up, like coming north. And south,
yeah,
when
we'll
you
get to
have,
that,
like a random roadblock. Even those guys.
Yeah,
were
we'll
like,
talk about that in a second. And so he just lays it on me. He's like, it's all fucking bullshit. He's like, they need to get out of our way so us and the guard can do our fucking job.
reoccurring story the entire time.
Constant.
Everyone we talk to.
And so then he went into, I can't remember, and that's why I really haven't talked about
These
it.
guys have a clear-cut idea of exactly what their job is which is to secure the safety of the United States citizens by preventing people that shouldn't be here to enter the country.
They're not
Yet
allowed to turn them around.
But he's saying, I can't do it because
The government.
Because of the government.
Correct.
It is because of the government that I can't do my fucking job.
Yeah.
And so
he's not saying because of the Democrats.
No.
Right, no.
He's saying because of the
All of them.
politicians.
Yeah,
All
because
of
of
them.
all of them.
All of
Every
them.
single one of them.
I said to him, I said, 2 wings. He said, same fucking bird. He's like, they all do the same fucking
Needs to be
shit.
a fucking t-shirt also.
So
2 wings, same bird. Yeah.
Yeah. So then the reason I haven't talked about this too much is because I couldn't fucking remember the names because he just kind of laid it on me pretty quick. Apparently, a lawyer that was working in the governor's administration somewhere was consistently crossing back and forth between Piedras Negras and Eagle Pass, and he got caught with a bunch of fucking cocaine.
Damn.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And it was an attorney.
Yeah. So
In the governor's
Yeah, I
office.
can't remember names, but so.
No shit.
But
Coincidence. Some
yeah. Coincidence, I'm sure.
Unrelated.
Private actor.
Yeah. So, but like he was saying, it was an extra little border stop heading on our way back to San Antonio. We stopped there and we were fucking hustling for our flight.
Yeah.
Right.
2 hour, 50-minute drive, and our flight was going to board in 2.5 hours.
Whoa.
But we made it.
We made it.
Holy shit.
So, anyways, we're coming up to this border like checkpoint stop, and I'm just going, please don't be the day.
Obviously, a checkpoint stop within the United States.
Correct. In
Okay.
Texas.
It's
Just
just
make
an
it-
extra
just make
layer.
it just
Yeah,
an extra layer.
Just trying to catch anybody on the road. And
What are they going to do once they catch you?
Dude, document.
document and send them on their way.
Juan Carlos is now Carlos 1.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So
What's the point?
There's
There
no
is
point.
Like just like you
There's no
you
point.
said,
There's no
it's
point.
literally just for
It's
optics.
fucking charades.
It's just for
dude.
optics,
It's
yeah.
just to make
Well, look at our
money.
roadblock.
It's just to make money.
Look at our TCP.
It is the Patriot Act.
Okay.
Scared people give up their rights.
yeah.
And you get enough people to give up their rights, they can't do anything.
That is
against you.
exactly what we funneled back to when we were talking about 1913 and the whole Federal Reserve and like let's just make this fucking bank that the government can access all the money we want to because it is
Because of
in the
this one
name.
immediate
It's
threat.
in the name of national
it's just
security.
one immediate threat.
It is.
Oh, it's just 2 weeks. We just got to close businesses for 2 weeks and we'll go back to it. Fucking Trump started it, man. We got to have an honest conversation about this stuff.
Right.
Republicans, the GOP, are complicit in what's happening in our country. They are a part of the fucking problem.
And so we roll
You're
up.
never going to vote the right person into office.
No. So we roll up to this stop, and ID. Where you guys going? Head to the airport. Where are you coming from? Eagle Pass.
Yeah.
What are you doing there? I was like, well, I gave him the quick rundown. I was like, reporting on the story. We're trying to figure out what's going on.
Lit
And
up.
dude, same
lit
thing.
up?
So happy.
It's like really.
so happy.
Oh, we got people out there that are actually going to tell the truth.
Yeah.
There's like a crucial part of this. The reason that we crossed over, like Nolan was saying, we crossed over into Mexico to try to get better optics on the actual governor's briefing.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get anywhere near it. It was like, I don't know, 500-600 yards inside of like the actual border fence, like closer to where the actual Rio Grande River is.
Okay.
The only media that were allowed to get anywhere near that press conference, which it's a security thing, like I'm not going to complain that much, but the only media that were allowed to get in were people that were already on the governor's like press docket that had
Right.
RSVP'd the day prior by 5 p.m.
Pre-screened.
Yes.
Yeah.
So everyone, to include the Daily Wire, like Ben Shapiro's company, their reporters, the only coverage that the media is getting are these PR stunts.
The pre-selected.
No one is going down there and being
The ones
like,
that they choose to go in there and report their fucking news for them.
Right. The only reason that the Connexes and the Razor Wire and everything exists at Eagle Pass is so that 11, 15, however many governors it were, can drive in there.
The
and
number keeps
They
changing.
should have just made a fucking green screen. Like, if we're being honest, they should just build the green screen in a warehouse and stop fucking around about it.
Save
You'd save more
taxpayer
money.
money.
You save more money. You spend a lot of my money setting up photos.
Is it so that they have these connexes and this razor wire
It's just
as a backdrop?
It's just a backdrop.
It's literally
just a backdrop.
Okay, how are we going to set this camera up right now? Well, it would be
took
really
the boat-
good to have some razor wire behind you to show that our border
We
is
have
secured.
footage of the airboat going up and down the river. They took the boat out of the fucking water and put it on a trailer to put it as the backdrop. They literally pulled security out of the fucking water to have it for the backdrop.
And so we're talking to these guards, and we're like, we're trying to get the real story, and I was like, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of names that we can drop because we got some real story. And this one guy goes,
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
He's like, what do you mean? Like, you're interviewing people, you can't say their names. And the other Border Patrol guy was like, bro, the good kind, the exposure kind.
Yeah.
And then that guy was like, they both
Oh,
lit
no
up.
shit.
yeah, and he goes, have a good day.
Yeah. No one has gone to the rank and file guy and been like, hey, what's going on over here?
Yeah, what's
You
going on?
remember being in Afghanistan? Anybody walk up to you and ask you anything?
Absolutely zero
No, they walk up
fucking
to
people.
general whatever.
Yeah.
And
They're
they're
like,
like,
how is
so how
the-
are things going?
Oh, it's great. So I fight for democracy and American freedom and other buzzwords. And
Right? If they would have, if at any point in your
So
military
fucking
career,
true.
if someone would have shoved a camera in your face, you are Jake Gyllenhaal and Jarhead, right?
Yeah.
If at any point in my army career, if CNN had been like, so how are things going?
Yeah. Like, it's still a shit show. We don't even know what the fuck we're doing here.
I don't even know where I am.
I don't know where I am. Yeah, it was funny because I had that conversation with you that one night.
Yeah.
and
Where'd
I
you
was
serve,
like,
man?
I was like,
Fucking
where
I
were
don't
you? And
know.
you were like, I don't know. And I was
Fucking
like,
know.
you know what's funny is like, I had to get when I left
I had to
Afghanistan.
teach myself afterwards.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Because I heard these terms. I was like, Panjway and Gumbad and Shwalikat. And I was like, okay.
Paktika.
Yeah, Paktika. And so I would have to like look these up on a map, and I Google mapped it, and I was like, oh, that's where I was.
Like, oh my God,
a
I
map.
was so close to Pakistan.
I know,
Holy
it was like
shit.
right next to the
I had no
Pakistani
idea.
border. Yeah, exactly.
We were probably in
I was,
Pakistan.
yeah, for all I know, I was
probably
in
crossed
fucking
quite a few
Pakistan.
times.
Accidentally.
Accidentally in Pakistan. It was exactly like that. Like,
Dude, they
we
put
had
you in
no
an
fucking
airplane,
idea
They fly you
where
over
we
there.
were.
They put you in another helicopter. They fly you somewhere else. Someone shoots you shoot at them. You come home. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, and the whole point was, as a gunner, they would just like, where are we? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know. And what are we
North is
doing
that
here?
way.
What are we doing here?
I don't know.
Mind your fucking business, private, or specialist at the time. Like,
Aerial denial patrols.
Yeah.
So coming full fucking circle back to Yeoman.
Okay.
Right? Coming full back circle. Before we crossed, we were talking to him, and he was giving us the lay of the land, telling us what's going on.
Fascinating.
And he was like, yeah, he's like, I was kind of exploring the border, trying to see what's going on. He's like, and I was about maybe 8-10 miles down this way, downriver. And he's like, he's like, I got stopped. Now, mind you, again, for the viewers at home, this guy is dedicated his life to the cartel, like not working for them, but documenting them, reporting on them. He knows a lot.
He's comfortable.
Dealt
He's confident.
with a
He
lot
has
of them.
connections. He's
very
experienced.
He goes, I was stopped by some military-esque personnel with guns. He's like, they wanted to see my IDs, my paper. They made me throw it on the ground. He was like, show me your phone. He was like,
Well, these were Americans.
No.
This is on the Mexican
So
side.
he lives in Mexico City.
Oh,
He
shit.
reports on the cartel from Mexico City. So
Damn.
he's 10 miles upriver on the Mexican side, gets stopped by guys in military uniforms, which if anyone knows anything about the cartel, it's who knows. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So then he was like, I was getting stopped by these guys. I started getting scared. I thought this might be it.
Not an easily rattleable dude.
No, this guy is cool, calm, and collected. He's pretty fucking cool.
Well, yeah, dude, the dude's just surrounded by cartel his entire fucking life.
Exactly. And so he's like, they're telling me to throw my phone on the ground. He's like, this is it. I'm getting
He
kidnapped.
thought he was going to get kidnapped.
Yeah, he's like,
Like,
this is
that's what
it.
he
I'm
told
getting
us. He was like,
kidnapped. I'm
"This is
getting
it,
killed.
man."
He's like, this is it.
Fuck.
He ends up getting turned around. They send him on his way, but he's like, they were guarding a house up there.
They were
and
being particularly odd.
about this house. He's like, it was a big house. He's like, I don't know what they're doing, but they were guarding something there. So I turned around and left. While Governor Abbott is there, while we're crossing the border, while Governor Abbott is there, without documentation other than a license.
Right.
That's it. They didn't
Again,
want to see anything
not on
else.
the CBP guys. Not on you.
Not on them. While we're crossing here, whole dog and pony show right here, 10 miles down.
So day following, right? So my after SHOT Show.
Yeah.
Now-
maybe 100 people came up to me at SHOT
Yeah.
Show and gave me personal contact information, told me what level of agency they worked for. I'm slowly, but well, not slowly. I am rapidly building tentacles into all these major organizations. The cop reaches out to me that works down there, and he says, "Hey man, here's some pictures. 10 miles upstream, yesterday, we found 3 floaters, right? 3 dead bodies in the river, and the pictures of what looks like 1,000+ crossing. So what happens? All those pictures that you see on the news
Of the clothes?
all
Yeah.
the clothes and stuff on Razor
Can
Wire.
you post those up on this podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, if you're
I think Nolan has them. If not, he'll get
if you're
them.
listening, not watching, just look for these photos.
So as you're looking at these
context.
photos, you can see all the clothes, and then you can see like plastic bags that have also been discarded. What that is, anytime you see these pictures on the news, what that is they cross the Rio Grande,
Right.
and all of their dry clothes are in a plastic bag. They get onto our side, they dump their wet clothes, they put on dry clothes and move on.
Got it.
Because then they can blend.
Right.
Right. If they bring the wet clothes with them,
Why are you carrying a bag
why are
of
you
clothes?
carrying a bag of wet clothes? Right. So
Right.
that's why you can track.
It's not
these,
people
like,
getting
crossings.
caught in the wire. It's
Yeah.
them
So you
just
could-
throwing their clothes.
Yeah.
So you can track how many there are because you just count these sets of
Yeah.
wet clothing that's on the
Yeah.
other side of the Rio
Yeah.
Grande.
Or how
Pant,
much,
shirt,
yeah.
You get a pretty decent rough idea, right?
Sure.
So, but they stumble upon this 10 miles upriver, right? So whatever
And
it
3
was,
dead bodies floating in the water.
Yeah. So whatever Yoan had stumbled into 10 miles upriver was more than likely either a staging point for something else, or it was more than likely a staging point for that crossing.
So then
and
that-
they pushed them while Abbott had the speech.
So here's
But
the
what
deal.
else?
So here's the deal. You have all the attention and security here at Abbott.
Right.
You have this 1,000-person caravan come through down here.
A great distraction. Also,
What the
Great
fuck
distraction.
is going on up here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's 10 miles downriver?
What's the
What
single
comes
person
across?
crossing upriver?
Yeah.
Right.
What's a single person crossing through a tunnel?
What are they carrying with them?
Right. Why would you? Because it can't be stressed enough. These 1,000-person caravans are not organic. The cartel is assembling people and staging them and pushing them at times that works for them.
Points of interest.
They are
times of
only
interest, yeah.
being used as a distractionary tactic. 10
It's a complete.
dodgeballs.
It's a
10
complete.
dodgeballs.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a complete fucking decoy.
If
Yeah.
I'm dodging 10 dodgeballs, I can't dodge the fucking wrench. What was
Right.
the wrench that crossed during Abbott's speech?
Right.
Because if it was a high-profile terrorist, if it was equipment, what was it? What?
Right.
Because it's not drugs,
No.
right? They
They
can
get
do
the-
drugs all
yeah,
day long.
yeah,
it's
it's
not
no
drugs.
Right.
You got a
It's
catapult
not.
for that.
Yeah. It's
It's a nuke in a briefcase.
right. If you had Abbott talking and you had that 1,000
Chemical
person
weapon.
that happened
That
at
was
the
me.
exact same time, it was 2 amazing distractions going on at the same time.
perfect fucking opportunity.
Something awful crossed that day.
Yeah.
If something happens inside the United States, I will go to my grave believing that it came across the day that Abbott was speaking. You had 11:50. I can't remember now. We should have Googled that beforehand. But you had all these governors down there. It was one of the biggest press conferences to happen on the border that day.
All the attention is focused on that one thing. All the security is in
all the
one place.
security,
At one,
Fixated.
all of it, because it's already spread thin. What crossed that day? What
Right.
crossed that day, man? Something fucking awful came across the border that day.
Whether it's a chemical weapon, whether it's a nuke, whether
and there's a
knows?
massive.
Whether it was just a high-ranking Al Qaeda member, right?
Sure,
Like you
yeah.
just need to get a high-ranking profile dude across that cannot get balled up.
Yeah.
Great day to do it.
perfect.
Right. Yeah. You strategically pick an event to
And you
where
have
you can get that-
5,000 miles of border.
And again, you're complicit. If a dirty bomb goes off in New York City and it gets proven that it came across the border, the likelihood that it crossed that day is
right.
high.
And even if they prove
it
that it crossed
crossed-
that day, you think, well,
Right.
we'd never
Right.
know.
You'll never know.
You'll never
But
know. They will know.
The fact that it was able to get across the border is it only made it across because these fucking politicians are trying to raise campaign funds. It's despicable, man.
Yeah,
for all
I
of
see.
them standing up and saying like this, the migrants are a direct threat to your family. Nah, man, they are.
And so,
They're allowing this shit.
let's play a hypothetical. Dirty bomb goes off, right? Dirty bomb goes off. They say it got here because of the border.
Right.
You need
Patriot
to,
Act 2.0.
Yeah. There it is. There it is. Just
People are afraid.
reinforcing your need in the government's
And
protection.
it's worth note, like the Patriot Act.
But we
brought
let
with
it happen, but
The Patriot Act, when the Patriot Act was formed, it formed the NSA and Department of Homeland Security. Neither one of those organizations existed before the Patriot Act. This is one of those like American memory is so fucking short. The NSA is terrifying. Their building in Washington, D.C. is a black mirrored box. Like they're not hiding anything from you. They are a black box that is watching you. Like, and we allow that shit to just happen. Because the average American, do you remember after 9/11, one of the hottest selling items was fucking parachutes? Like people were gonna be in a plane 35,000 miles in the air going 600 miles an hour and jump the fuck out with their backpack parachute. And it was one of the hottest selling items immediately following World War II, immediately following 9/11.
I didn't know
There was
that.
all kinds of companies that sold it was like a carry-on that would work as a backpack, but it
Right.
had a parachute built into it also. Fear is a crazy thing. And
Oh, it is.
Because the average American just doesn't operate in a place of fear, We can't manage it.
From a business standpoint, the most effective marketing is fear-based marketing. It 100% is. It's that FOMO. It's that you can only do it today. You will only get it today. This will
Which
never
we're not
happen.
trying to scare you to sell Tacticon body armor, but it's really good.
This will never happen again. But dead serious. If you don't want, don't buy anything fucking Tacticon. This isn't a fucking play to come buy our shit. Dead serious. We are in a fucking place right now.
We are in a war. And
we are in a
we
fucking
need to
war, whether
figure
you
out
like it or not.
who are the sides?
Dude,
who are the sides? Because we're being told that there's all these other influencers that are the sides. Is it true?
Yeah.
Who pays the WEF? Who pays the UN? Who allows these organizations to exist? You think if the United States government looked at the WHO during COVID and was like, no, we're not going to do that. What power do they have?
Are we in the brink of World War III or are we in World War
We're
III?
fucking in it, man.
We're in it.
I believe it wholeheartedly.
And it doesn't have to be fought with fucking bullets, dude. They are psychologically fucking moving everybody towards a certain fucking agenda.
Look at the history of warfare. Every war that comes along is, one, it's considered to be the war to end all wars. It's always considered the biggest, worst war ever. You can go all the way back through history. Everything is contextual to how you perceive it at the time. Warfare will continue to keep changing. You can see over the last 20 years how we have moved away from, we will never have a country-on-country trench line World War II style conflict ever again. Why? All warfare has always existed to exterminate a population of people until that population gives up. It isn't soldiers fighting soldiers. Even the United States practiced this during World War II by firebombing Dresden, dropping nuclear weapons on Japan cities. The civilian populace is the target of militaries. This idea that militaries target other militaries is fucking nonsense. Warfare is the extermination of another people until they bend the knee. Why would you exterminate people when you can just brainwash them?
Yeah.
And
It's a
look
lot
at us.
easier.
Look at us. Look at TikTok. Look at us.
Yeah.
Look at us. Half of our country is unable to say that their mom exists. It's appalling. It's appalling. It's appalling. We are. If we're not actively in the conflict phase of whatever this new type of warfare is, we are in the battle prep phase.
Right.
Why are there train derailments everywhere? Why are these all these weird chemical plant explosions?
Yeah.
What is this shit?
Yeah, why is that happening?
And why does none of it ever get covered? That's one of the biggest red flags for me. Is like when something like catastrophic happens and the mainstream media just doesn't cover it. That would sell ad space.
Oh, you think
why
so?
would you not?
Well, not only derailments, just trains disappearing.
Dude,
How do you disappear a fucking train?
you could make the argument that just whoever's in charge of like train safety is like also the guy that's in charge for like installing windows at Spirit Airlines or whatever.
Right.
Like, we've just allowed people that aren't professionals to get to professional levels.
Right.
in the
And
world.
so one of the main questions that's brought up in my mind, I mean, it's answered pretty easily that the government is directly working with the cartels, which they have been for a very long time. That's provable.
You got to watch the video that me and Nolan are putting together.
Anyways,
It's unsettling.
anyways,
Yeah, would you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
is any bab? Is any babwy?
little Zimbabwe buddy. Get a little zinny.
So the question that was mainly
Support Tucker.
posed, that's right, mainly posed in my brain
Suck my balls.
is why the fuck is the cartel not listed as a terrorist organization?
Yeah.
And again, answer is because we're working with them.
Yeah.
But
I mean, honestly, who's more of a threat to the American public? The people that are pumping cocaine, heroin, and now fentanyl, killing thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of Americans.
running
for
hits
50
in
fucking
America,
years.
Yeah.
running sex trade, running like
Hands down, they've killed more Americans than any Middle East terrorist.
Oh,
has
absolutely.
ever.
Oh, fucking
Hands down.
yeah.
And we can't draw a line and say they're a problem. We can't
Not
spend,
even close. It's an order.
We
of,
can't drop
it's an
dumb
order of-
bombs down there, man. Come on.
It's
Come
an
on.
order
How
of
hard is
fucking
this?
magnitude, dude. It's
Like-
an order of magnitude. Several orders of magnitude.
You don't
more
kill
than
friends.
the lives that
you
we've
don't
lost
kill
over
friends. That's it. You don't kill friends.
Yeah.
So who are they friends with?
right, exactly.
Right.
And so the question is because if they were listed as a terrorist group, we could send JSOC in
there. Yeah.
Overnight.
overnight.
If they were listed as a terrorist group, they could treat them like January 6 protesters.
We would have that mess cleaned up real fucking quick.
Immediately, man.
Immediately.
that cartel would be
immediately.
disbanded.
And it's so close.
And it's not
just
that we would
right
just
over the border.
eradicate evil or eradicate drugs or any of those things. It's like if we just applied American might into the solution,
Yeah.
it would be a solved solution.
It would be
Like,
a solved solution all
one of my
day.
favorite
Yeah.
jokes of all time is being like, congratulations to pot on winning the war on drugs, right? Like, it's legalized like in basically every state now, right? Like,
Yeah.
congrats on that.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And I think a lot of that has to do with just fucking, okay, you can have this. Don't worry, this will still be illegal, but don't worry, we'll still continue to funnel this shit
I
into
think
the
it has a
United
lot
States
to do
kill
with
people.
like dropping testosterone rates and pacifying the general public. And
Oh,
I think that's- I think
absolutely.
that's a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Why the fuck didn't you
It's
want
just
people
more
on fucking...
popular than alcohol now. Alcohol's always been a pretty good way to just kind of keep the public happy.
Well,
but
yeah, Dude,
Whole lot of
what-
estrogen
because
in
I'll
it.
tell you what, like
Why
there,
will they
the
never-
times there I've really questioned not just my existence, but if I've started to do some really, really deep fucking thinking, and this may not affect everybody with marijuana like this, but to me it does. Right, I'll start thinking real deep about what my government's doing, like why. And not that I
Imagine
don't do that now, but
LSD.
I will start getting. I get deep into those thought processes when I used to smoke weed to the point where it scared the living shit out of me, and I didn't want to smoke weed anymore because what it made me do was realize
very relaxing.
it was no, it wasn't relaxing at all. It gave me fucking anxiety, and it made me think about the actual reality. I saw truth when I smoked. I saw absolute fucking truth, and
Lysergic acid into the water mains would change the world in 24 hours.
yeah.
And so it'll never be
Isn't-
legal. The CIA figured out like, acid doesn't
when they
control
made
your
it?
mind, it frees it.
It frees it.
Yeah.
Frees it.
It frees it. It opens it
You
up.
see your place in the universe.
Yeah.
You become obsessed with plants and
Isn't-
nature and the sky.
Isn't
Your own fucking fingers.
Yeah.
isn't marijuana still illegal on a federal level?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The federal
Absolutely
government-
federal. Why do you think it's fucking federally prohibited? Because
look at
they
the
need
Biden-
something that they can regulate that's going to open the eyes of the American people. Keep them drunk, and they're not going to give a fuck. You know what happens when I get drunk? I don't give a fuck. I don't,
punch
or I
holes in
give
walls.
too much of a fucks, but it's like close proximity gut fucks.
No, I just
Like,
want to set a couch on fire and start a riot. Yeah. But like,
Absolutely.
look at the Biden administration. Like the appeasement that they have done to certain communities with like the non-prosecutory like policies and things like that. But also, they have done nothing but just stumble over their own dick for the last 3 years. Wouldn't legalizing pot be like a huge distraction? Be a huge positive distraction? Be a massive thing they could point to and say like, we're for the American people.
Yeah.
What's the incentive not to?
Right.
Like the only incentive to not do that is because they like I genuinely believe like if a lot of people started smoking weed, man, like your value system gets reevaluated. You reevaluate your place in the universe.
Yeah.
And I'm not advocating for people to like start doing drugs and like, but
Right.
different things have different effects on your brain, and alcohol makes you a piece of shit, and weed makes you hungry.
Yeah.
No one has ever gotten stoned and beat their kids. It's just a fact, man.
Also, nobody's OD'd on weed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think now with some of these new.
Possibly.
Shit.
I think you're
Possibly,
having,
yeah.
but it's not necessarily an OD. It's
But
like
that's what I'm saying.
some sort of like psychotic.
Maybe it's a
like,
it's a psychotic break.
Yeah, but
is really what it is. Yeah.
you go to the hospital and you have to ride that shit out
Right,
for a while.
but like we're saying, you grew a plant, you cut the plant down, you dried
not
the
like-
plant, you
it's not
smoked the
heroin.
plant. No, you're gonna take a long nap.
Yeah.
But like, I see what you're saying
It's
now.
less
with this stuff.
processed than bread.
Now, not smoking weed on a complete regular basis in the past, wouldn't you think that there is some level of fucking complacency that comes along with smoking weed, and why wouldn't they want that?
Right, yeah. Right.
Like, it's just everything's okay, man.
I mean,
Don't
me
worry about
too.
the government, right? So
Your average
you
pothead
almost
is
would.
just
I
fucking-
would assume that the government would almost want people to smoke weed.
Yeah.
One, you don't because they see the truth in things. But two, it's like, are you really going to fucking do anything about it, or are you
Well-
just going to kind of sit on your couch and be like, you know what, I'm comfy right here.
Well, one, the reason why you said it makes you kind of open up your mind's eye, but two, also Nixon and John Elrickman, his aide. I'm
yeah.
pretty sure I brought this up before on the podcast.
Incredible quote.
But the quote that he says, I'm going to butcher it, but essentially it is, yeah, we knew that we were lying about the war on drugs. We couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black.
He
Or
said
black.
the quote he's like we couldn't make it illegal to be black or to be a hippie against the war, but we could make it illegal to smoke weed or use heroin.
And so we associated weed with the hippies and heroin with the blacks, and we criminalized both heavily. And then so what they did is they arrested their leaders, vilified them night after night on the daily news, and just fucking went to it.
What was happening in the 60s? You had the Black Panther movement. You had an actual belief within the African American community to arm themselves and to stand up for themselves. And it wasn't an outright like militia movement. And what they were saying like, hey man, we've been treated really really poorly, and this like fight for our rights shit is not going well. We need to like band together and stand up.
Yeah.
Why did the black communities? Like we're about to go down like a different tangent. What happened to the black community? Because you can look, even when they were free coloreds, even when they were not a part of society, the values of humanity were the same. The values of having a family unit, of being married, they were the same. There has been a concerted effort to destroy the black community from ever being able to rise up. Why are the education, like why are inner city schools so fucking bad? Like, why is there no effort to fix it? Why did we have mandatory minimums to put essentially entire generation of black men behind bars? What was that? Especially when you consider the fact that Reagan was running the drugs into the United States. The old adage that Tupac was like famously shot over was because he was constantly talking about the fact that the CIA put crack in the ghettos. Dude, he did. Google Freeway Rick Ross. You know Rick Ross, the rapper?
Yeah.
The real guy. Rick Ross stole his story because he was a correctional officer that was in charge of Rick Ross.
Yep.
Rick Ross openly, he's written multiple books. He's been on documentaries and interviews. He openly says that the CIA taught him how to cook crack, and he bought his cocaine from the CIA. The original crack that came into LA that would devastate the black community was a CIA product. And there's no one argues the fact anymore. It's just like a piece of urban culture now. There's been a concerted effort to destroy that movement. And there was a concerted effort to destroy the anti-war movement, to paint them out to be a bunch of shrug-using, naked liberal hippies. And so, why was Jim Morrison's dad the admiral in charge of the fleet in the Gulf of Tonkin? It's ugly coincidences, man.
Coincidences that conveniently weave themselves into modern times, which now it's a war on the nuclear family. Yeah. It's a war on the nuclear family. It's a war on just being masculine, just defending yourself, just having any semblant testosterone.
Yeah, what's the biggest threat to the government, Cece?
Testosterone.
It's 20 years with the veterans.
It's fucking purely testosterone, because who's going to rise up and actually do something about it physically? It's fucking
dudes
men with
that are willing to die.
It's dudes that are willing to fucking die. And if you take all the testosterone out of a fucking male that's going to protect his family, then what incentive do they have chemically inside of their own bodies to do it?
You know what testosterone does to your brain? Like what it makes you like? It makes you like hard work.
Oh,
If you get older in life and you start feeling run down and you get on testosterone replacement therapy, dude, you will get hypercharged.
Yeah.
You start cleaning more, you're mowing the grass more, you're working out more. It makes you enjoy hard work. So masculinity is literally just, you want to work, you want to sacrifice, you want to lay down for your family. We have to fucking get rid of that shit. Why is the FDA poisoning us?
Yeah.
Just fuck with everybody's hormones, man.
Yeah.
Why are we all on birth control? Why are all women on chemical birth control? For what?
Yeah.
And when you, dude, that's a whole different vein you can go down to, man.
But no,
it changes what women find attractive.
Continuing the conversation, but putting a break in the conversation to remind everybody that's listening right now and to remind ourselves that when we talk about, are we in World War III? Yeah. I firmly believe that we may be on the cusp on it. They are destroying
who's doing it.
Right. They are destroying the fighting force before it's able to stand up and do anything about it. And you do it through hormone replacements, through psychology, through...
Why exterminate a civilization when you can castrate it?
When you can...
Why destroy a civilization? Why exterminate a civilization when you can just castrate it?
Why
are we trying to convince all little boys that they're girls to cut their balls off?
It's a cattle concept, right? Like, why would you kill the entire herd if you can just pin them in?
You're still going to need them.
Yeah.
You're still going to need them.
Yeah. Because if you kill them all...
Have you been to McDonald's recently? Go to a McDonald's and try to pay with cash at the register. And there might be some out there that still work, but for the most part, you have to use that digital checkout thing, because that little screen thing
that they got up there
sends a message to the back that drops the patties for them to use, that mixes your soda. They physically can't take your order and then the machine produce your order. If you have to use the electronic thing. So then it immediately begs the question, well, why the fuck are there humans here at all? It's cheaper to pay a person to travel through free space than it is to figure out a robot that travels through free space. But soon.
But soon. So I have something that I have something that I wanted to bring up about immigration that was an interesting question. I was talking to my wife about it.
That's what we're talking about.
I was talking to my wife about it when we were going up, and my wife, as you know, leans left socially. She's fiscally.
I lean left socially.
She's
it's crazy.
She's physically right. She's physically right. She's fiscally conservative. Typically fiscally conservative. She is about. She does want opportunity for those outside the United States to be inside the United States, and one of the reasons for that fundamentally is that she is first generation American, because her. I'll give you a little bit of a backstory, and I'll make it quick. Her family was escaping the genocide on the Sikhs from the Hindus. Ultimately, they made their way from...
I was going to say, which one was it? Was it the Muslims or was it the Hindus? Because it's been going back and forth.
Yeah, Muslims,
was it the
Hindus,
Christians?
Yeah. But there was a war on the Sikhs, as we're hopefully well aware of. A couple generations ago. It wasn't too long ago. And so the initial generation, her grandparents left India to go to England, and then just made their way closer to the United States. And from there, they had some family come into the United States. And when that happened, the way that they went about it was they sent them in first, test the waters, establish a place to stay, get on their feet, support themselves. And the reason why they would do that.
That's how the Jewish built Israel. They did the same thing.
Right. You send them in first, they get established, they get on their feet, they're like, okay, everything's fine, and then get the rest of the family over here. Yep. So when I was having this discussion about what was going on at the border, and I was talking about military-age males coming across the border, and I said, why aren't they with their families? That begs the question, why aren't these men with their families?
It's a good argument.
Right? And her argument was, well, my family didn't do it that way. Yeah. My family and the families that my family was associated with all sent them in first to establish themselves and get a foothold here. And they typically do it in communities like Yuba City, right, where they can all kind of support each other, and then they get the rest of the family over here thereafter. So why do you think that these men aren't doing the same thing? And honestly, I said, I'm not saying that some of them aren't. That was the only retort that I really had to that. I'm not saying that some of these men aren't doing that same thing and then waiting for their families, but I couldn't really answer the other half of the question. This is why I really actually like being around somebody who has dissenting opinion on a fairly regular basis, which is my wife, and surrounding ourselves with people. I think we should.
You have to have a friend group
surround
that
ourselves with dissenting opinion. Yeah,
yeah,
you have to have friends that disagree with you.
Yeah.
I think if we had, like,
that's
if
what
we
broke
consider
during
ourselves
COVID.
more conservative and somebody else considers themselves more liberal, then spend more fucking time with them so you could see the other side. Start asking the question. So I ask you guys. I wasn't able to answer that. I was going to ask you guys, do you have something that I would be able to bring home to my wife, or anybody that's listening bring home to their wife, an answer to that question?
I'll take this.
Okay.
I am willing to say that every military-age male that you see that is a migrant crossing the border, there is a high probability that is what's happening. The migrants are the victims in this. 1,000%.
They're the currency.
They are coming here with good intentions, and they are being prostituted and bastardized by the cartels in a growing list of awful ways. But they are also being bastardized and prostituted by our politicians. The migrants are not the threat to your family. All of the politicians that are telling you to go arm yourself because there's all these dangerous people coming across the border, man, the dangerous people are the politicians. The average migrant that's coming across the border is more than likely coming for good reasons.
The actual
and
Juan
they're
Carlos.
super important. Yeah, they're super important.
Yeah.
The Irish built the cities, and then they were treated as the racial issue and driven off into the woods. That's why Melungeons like me have so much Irish and like Portuguese blood. Then you have African Americans that are brought over, and they build the economy. They build our trade and export process, right?
Right. Yeah.
Then you have Chinese that come over and build the fucking railroads,
right,
and connect the country to the west, right? And then they assimilate in the population. The Mexicans are building suburbia.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of fucked up, like you're paying your dues, but like this is how the American society works. You come over and you do blue collar work, and then your kids get an opportunity to better their lives. They go through education, and within a generation or two, look at Iranian immigrants. I have a friend who is from oh man, I'm gonna mess up what country he's from. I believe he's from Serbia, and he always says that my daughter needs to marry a Serbian man because they have 2 Teslas. Because he's like, dude, we come over and we take over. Right?
Yep.
So I genuinely wholeheartedly believe that what we should do is welcome these immigrants with open arms.
Yeah.
They are coming here for a positive, good reason.
Right.
Why are we saying that they're scary and dangerous?
Right.
Dude, just catch the terrorists.
It's because of the scary people that are slipping through in the Yemen population.
It's because they're
in
being
the Somali
forced across
population.
at 1,000 at a time,
Yeah,
and they're being forced across by the cartel. How easy would that be to stop?
Yep.
Just stop the fucking cartels.
And what's interesting is, although that debate
Sorry,
with
I'm
my wife,
cussing a lot.
No, I'm not.
It was an
the
interesting.
podcast-
Go ahead.
So the podcast is the one place I don't beep out anything. Sweet. Continue.
Yeah. So
fuck
it was
fuck.
what happened. What started happening. There was a pretty contentious conversation that going on between my wife and I, because what she said. So you're saying that we shouldn't let people into this country? And I'm like, fuck, man,
Yes. You're immediately
that's ultimate, but no, that is the fucking problem, right? Because that's what happens. As soon as you say we shouldn't just let everybody in, she immediately thinks, so you don't think that like my family shouldn't have got in? And I immediately said, let's find common ground. And I knew, because you and I have talked about it in the podcast multiple times, let's find the common ground. What can we agree on? Can we agree that the system at the border is broken?
Yes.
That the system in our political,
we could agree.
that our political infrastructure is broken.
Yeah.
That it's not the fucking people, from the most part, coming in that shouldn't be allowed to fucking be here, but it is the matter at which we let them in.
Yes.
That we don't get them that we don't vet them properly, that we don't have the systems in place to keep the bad ones out, Keep the
it's
bad
not-
ones out and let the good ones
It's
in.
not the 1,000-person convoys.
It's not the 1,000-person convoys.
I'm willing to like go out on a limb and say that like the 1,000-person convoy doesn't contain a single issue. There
Maybe one
might
or
be
two,
some,
yeah.
but like if you're the cartel and you've been paid by China, the Taliban, Al Qaeda, ISIS to get a
The
high-ranking
UN.
person across, you're not going to put him in that 1,000-person convoy.
No.
You're going to push a 1,000-person convoy and you're going to bring that dude through a tunnel.
Right.
Yep.
And as long as everyone is worrying about over here, you can just use the established routes to get into the country to bring the worst actors on planet Earth over.
Absolutely.
Like,
And the same thing goes the other direction when we send all the troops over there to do a thing in combat. What's happening over here? Hey, don't worry about what's going on. The government over there, we're paying attention to this fucking war. Why wag the dog?
Why was Adam in Mogadishu
Warfare.
while you guys were in Afghanistan?
Right.
Warfare.
Right.
Warfare.
Yeah. I've actually
All
I
Afghanistan.
wanted that so many times. We talk to him all the time. He keeps saying I was in fucking Somalia, and every time he says it, and I mean to ask him, it's like, why
Yeah.
were you
It's the same. It's the same
there
problem. Where, like
when we were over here?
the American public refuses
Not
to.
Black Hawk Down Somalia time. No, this is
Recent.
Yes,
Current.
current.
It's. Why do you have like 7 Green Berets that get balled up in northern Africa
Right.
and annihilated? That
Right.
have you seen
Yes.
the body camera video from the guy?
Yes.
That, oh man, it's heartbreaking.
It is fucking heartbreaking.
You have special operations guys. It comes from a basis of misunderstanding by the American public. A Muslim, an Islamic person, isn't a race. It is a belief system. It's barely even a culture. It is a belief in a political system. It permeates through racial divides. So when we are fighting the global war on terror, we're not fighting a specific country. We're not fighting a specific race of people. We're fighting an ideology, right? All that Iraq and Afghanistan provided was places we could fly fucking helicopters out of. The special operations guys weren't. I mean, some of them were in Afghanistan, but by
It was
and
a
large,
hub.
by and large, they were everywhere. It
was a hub.
The average American doesn't understand the fact that Benghazi was a part of the global war on terror. That was a part of what was going on. It wasn't a random flare-up protest.
Right.
They had the opportunity to ball up a high-profile American, and they took it. And because you have such a corrupt political system, they can't look at the American people and say all of these things are connected. But they are all connected. The global war on terror extends through the Middle East, through Asia, through Northern Africa, and through South America.
yeah,
They're all over South America.
right.
And to answer your wife's question as well, when we got down there at Eagle Pass, I think one of the first things I said to you was, why the fuck do people have a problem with the migrants? I was like, I fucking love Mexicans.
We're down there
They're
eating.
great
We're,
people.
we're 50 feet from the border eating the best food on planet Earth. Dude.
Yeah.
Hispanic food is the best.
It's
Like,
so good. I'm like, I love Latinas.
what would we
I
do
love
without
Mexican
tacos?
food. and like I saw a video a couple days after of a dairy farmer who was like, I need less restrictions on importation
Yeah.
so I can have more workers because nobody wants to work here.
That was one of the big complaints
they do.
under Trump. When COVID started and they started the shutdowns under the Trump administration, one of the biggest complaints was from the construction industry and the agriculture industry saying like, hey, if you close all these visas, like if I can't bring these guys in temporarily during like harvest season, you're gonna crush my business.
Yeah.
Right.
Like our nation depends on the immigrants. They are a vital part of our society.
Right.
And the way that we pay them back is by assimilating them into our country and providing a future for their children, right? It is
now.
a positive thing.
Yeah, but
It's a positive
they
thing.
spin it.
Right.
They spin it by saying, look at these people coming in and making American dollars and then remitting it back into the Mexican government and to the Mexican families into the which
We
is
remit
that is
it back. We remit it back. It is
Create the
taxpayer
problem.
dollars.
Create the problem.
Create the solution.
Create the solution.
create the problem, create the solution. That is essentially what is happening, and that's how they're getting their fucking votes. And it is. It is that was the entire premise of that dude's Governor Abbott's fucking
It's
little
not
rah-rah
just him,
speech
man.
that he gave
It's
up
not
there.
just him,
All
man.
of them.
It's all of them. It's the conservative media on top of it. Why you can go on YouTube right now and Google Eagle Pass, and local news stations all the way to the biggest, most paid mainstream media sources have a reporter that's walking along those connexes saying word for word there is a standoff between state and federal authorities. The person that said that walked the same ground that we walked. They are fully aware that
Well,
that is
500
a
meters away,
bold-faced-
but yes.
they are fully aware that that is a bold-faced lie.
Right.
And they're
Fully
looking
aware.
into the camera saying it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a fucking problem, man.
Yeah.
And you know this firsthand because
We recorded them recording themselves.
Literally, well, yeah, you recorded them recording themselves, but you talked to both of the players on the state side and the federal side. And the CBP guys were like, we got no problem with these guys.
Everyone
And
was
they're
happy.
Like, we got no
Everyone
problem with
was
those
happy
guys.
they were there. Everyone said the same thing. If the politicians could untie our hands, we could do our job. And coming, like, being a veteran, did you feel the same way about Afghanistan? If they had untied your hands and let you do your job, you could have fixed it.
Yeah,
You could have stopped
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, you could have fucking fixed it. You could have.
So something interesting that just came up to my fucking head thinking about this. When we crossed into Mexico, do you know what the check was? I put my backpack through a scanner.
Yeah.
They didn't ask to see ID. They didn't ask who we were.
Oh, when you crossed into Mexico.
Yeah, they asked me to put my backpack on a metal detector.
Zero restrictions.
Zero restriction.
No ID.
Yeah.
No
That's
ID.
why I thought I'm going to go to a Mexican prison.
So which makes
shit.
me ask the question now, because I hadn't really fully thought of this. Why is it so bad to come back into America then? Right? If there's no dangerous players moving into Mexico,
Right.
then who's trying to destroy America?
Interesting.
Which
they're
is
not
interesting
gonna-
too, because like one of the biggest problems that Mexico faces, like that Mexican law enforcement, Mexican military face, is the open flow of ammunition and firearms from America down into Mexico.
Right.
It is a legitimate talking point when you talk about gun control.
Thanks, ATF.
It is a legitimate, yeah, for real. It is a legitimate issue that the American firearms industry supplies the firearms down into South America for a lot of the violence that happens down there. Like it is a legitimate issue. It is worth having a conversation on, but there still was no effort to. I mean,
Nothing.
Look at us.
So if there was a problem,
I was wearing a shirt that had guns on it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it-
I'm wearing a hat that says Texas Gun Owners of America. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
so the CBP guy, he actually said to me, he's like, hey, next time you go down to Mexico, don't wear shirts with guns on it.
yeah.
no shit.
Yeah.
They don't fuck around about it. The gun control in Mexico is crazy strict. Crazy strict. That's why, again, big shout out to Ed Calderon. Ed Calderon's entire training philosophy is built on being able to arm yourself and defend yourself with local sourced stuff. Being able to roll a butter knife up off of a kitchen table and build a little sheath off of it and have some kind of weapon because you can't access personal defense stuff in Mexico.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if there was an opportunity for this to be changed, like Governor Tackett sitting in front of me right now, like how would you? We've talked a lot about the problem. We've
know what,
talked a
Governor
lot about
Tackett-
people creating the problem. Like
What's the solution?
What do you think the solution would be? Like,
Governor
what would you-
Tackett would reach down to the lowest rank and file guys, and I would put together. I would bring 1,000 of them in, and I don't want anybody in any level of rank or responsibility. The way for you to come into this meeting is that you are not in charge of another human being, and I would say, what do you need? What do you need? The mistake that we have made inside of all of our professional level organizations, from the military to law enforcement to fire to all of it,
That's where this started too.
is that all of those organizations, I used to say it in the fire department all the time. When I show up to a house fire, what needs to happen? The fucking fire needs to get put out, right? So all of the chiefs, all of the politicians, the people that collect your taxpayer money, the people that fund the fire department, that entire structure of people all exist to support the lowest ranking guy who effectuates the change. And yet what happens inside those organizations is that the people in power believe that the lowest ranking guy exists to support them. If we return to what do you need
Right.
to do your job,
Right.
those guys would give you an answer immediately, right off the top of their head. They would tell you exactly what the fuck they need. They're the only people that know.
Yeah.
Who
because
else knows
they're doing
what the
it.
problem is? They're
Right.
the ones on the ground doing
Right.
it. Who else knows what the problem is?
Yep. So
And you think we're going to ask those guys?
yeah. Nope.
We can't even give them health insurance.
That
man.
is exactly how.
It's the most angering-
It's so interesting that you say that, because that is exactly how. I
How
run.
would the army work?
Well,
If they had just
that's exactly
put
how
all the
this
privates in
company.
the army and been like, what do you need in Afghanistan?
If I look at it from this standpoint, right, on the lowest level of this company, of how I run Tacticon, it is some shit's not getting done, and initially always where I start, the starting point before I go fucking,
Why?
before I put the dick in dictator, is I always treat it as the guys that are doing the inventory, for example. Like when I first started having issues with inventory, I'd go to them and I'd be like, what is the problem? And they would say, I wasn't making shit up. I wasn't trying to invent something out of thin air to create a solution to a problem that I didn't realize existed. It was, I knew the initial problem, which is we don't have inventory. Why don't we have inventory? Or inventory is not getting shipped into the proper 3PLs, like Amazon's 3PLs. So if that is a problem,
It's so hard not to
I
talk
go
when we do this.
directly to the guys that are doing the inventory and say, what's the deal? And they say, I don't have enough time. So now I've got two opportunities here. I could say, do you need more people? Or I'd look at myself and say, are their processes inefficient? Right? And the reason
and
why
that's your job.
That's
Your
my
job is to effectuate the best outcome for the lowest level guy.
Correct.
Because the lowest level guy is the only person doing the job.
Right.
Everyone else is managing their productivity.
Right.
We've completely lost that within these structures.
Exactly.
Completely.
Exactly. And
Down
so
to the
I
point
can't
that it
make a
doesn't
fucking
matter.
decision until I get to the person. Like I had a conversation with our customer service today and I said, why am I getting personal phone calls? Somehow people are finding my fucking phone number
giving it
and
to
my
them.
wife's fucking phone number and calling and calling about like, do you own Tacticon? It's happened before where like, why is this individual doing this? And why is he getting my phone number? And first of all, how do you have my phone? I've got a phone call at 6 o'clock in the fucking morning this morning from somebody that was like, is this Tacticon? I'm like, dude, how the fuck did you get my phone number? And it's not that I don't want to help somebody at 6 o'clock in the morning, but I'm getting my kids ready for school. The fundamental problem is why are the customers not being taken care of on the customer service level? So I called and I'm like, I'm not mad at you, but something's broken. You have like lots of people now in the customer service department. Why are customer service, how many, the first question was, why are they saying you're not returning their calls? Well, we don't have the resources to return the voicemails right now because we're so busy replying to tickets. But now it is my responsibility because I've talked to that individual that is on the front lines. I'm not like pontificating here going, oh, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to fix the customer service problem. I'm talking to the person doing customer service. And getting back to your point, and I know that was a really long-winded explanation, but getting back to your point, go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't, like in defense of the chain of command, if you don't have a chain of command, like I've been in leadership positions, right? Like I've managed hundreds of people at a time. It's impossible for you to talk to 100 people a day.
Right.
I cannot. You can't handle the call volume of every single customer.
Right.
Right. So you have to have a command structure. The command structure has to work and be effective. But if the command structure isn't passing the problem upwards because of an incentive structure that encourages you not to create problems,
Yes.
then the fucking problem never makes it to the person that can solve it.
Right.
There's just someone on the bottom making noise. It's not getting anywhere. And if the incentive structure is so fucked up like it is within the military, within law enforcement, within all these agencies, then the lowest level guy that's worth a shit that wants to fix it quits.
Right.
And then all you have is organizations that are non-functional. And again, that's how Uvalde happens. Uvalde didn't happen because that organization dropped the ball that day.
It's 'cause
Uvalde happened because that organization dropped the ball 20 fucking years ago.
Right. And they established a structure
And
that was
how many
waiting
other-
for the command to be able to go inside of a room where people were dying.
You had the sheriff go on national TV 3 days after the shooting and say he gave his radio up on scene because he was quote unquote unaware he was in charge.
Right.
Who the fuck else?
Who's in charge?
Who the
Who's
fuck
in
else?
charge when people are
If
dying
the
on the other side of a
president
door?
The United States had been there, you were still in charge of your people.
Right.
It's bullshit. And there's no accountability. We can have a 20-year war that burns $330 million a day for 20 years, and it ends in catastrophe. And there's no accountability. No one loses their job. No general, no politician, no one at the DOD. The Pentagon doesn't get
nobody's
gutted.
accountable.
There's no accountability. There's no the DOD can fail 6 audits in a row to the tune of trillions of dollars, and there's no fucking accountability.
Nobody gets
What
fired.
happens if you fuck your taxes up this year?
Yeah, go to fucking
How
prison.
fast
yeah.
does Tacticon go away?
Yeah. It's over. It's fucking over.
Every mob boss in the history of the mob got put in prison because they didn't pay their fucking taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
the
the only way
federal
they got
government
them.
has no responsibility of what they do with the money. The incentive structure.
They can come in and literally levy a fucking bank account. They can go inside my bank account and say, that money is mine.
Yes.
Why can't I go in
They can go
their
in your
bank
wife's
account?
bank account.
Yeah. Why can't I go into their bank account and say, that money is mine?
Mine.
And we're going to redisperse this amongst the American people because you don't know how to fucking manage it.
When you create an incentive structure that rewards non-excellence, you end up with organizations that are not excellent.
Right.
It just fucking is what it is.
I'm going to steal from Christian Craighead and the SAS.
Oh man, American treasure.
His fucking
Even if he's British.
yeah, we'll take you. He said in an interview, he said, I was in there and he's like, after it all, I was getting chewed out. I wasn't. They were
Do
pissed.
you know the Christian Craighead story?
Yeah. So
Obi-Wan Nairobi?
It's
the
appalling.
Obi-Wan Nairobi.
Not,
and he went
not
in
what he
and-
did.
But after
What the British government did to him after. Appalling.
As much as I know about that was that they basically said, we don't have anything to do with that. We know nothing about it. And they kind of like backed off.
No.
But
He came to the White House, and I don't remember the exact context behind why he came, but because he was there, other people within the White House, the news got out, and he met Trump. It wasn't
Okay.
publicized. It wasn't a PR stunt. Trump just came to him and shook his hand personally and said, thank you for what you did for American citizens. The British government then told him in a letter that he was a disgrace to king, country, and crown.
Jesus.
And so what he says in his fucking interviews is,
Fuck what you did.
Yeah.
he said, last time I fucking checked, the motto of the SAS was those who dare win, not those who ask win.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
And so this dude got lit up by his own government because he took the initiative to
why
go
he
do
left.
He
something
dared.
that
It's
nobody
why he
else-
left.
'cause he
It's
dared.
why he's in the United States working with firearms companies.
And this
he
is
was like, I'm fucking out.
this is
nuts.
the structure that we built throughout the country.
He
those
is
who
a
ask.
hero. He's a hero, man.
He's a goddamn savage hero.
Yes. It's unbelievable, man. If people of that level, of that stature, of that level of commitment, with that ability, that effectuate, it should have been wall-to-wall news coverage around the world. Look at what free men are capable of doing. If you send terrorists to where free men exist, we will murder you.
Yeah.
And instead, he was driven out because he had violated some sort of international foreign relations bullshit. It's just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just burns me. It just burns me. We have built systems at every level of profession, whether it's the corporate world, through all of your professional organizations, through the schools, through fucking pilots. We reward cowardice. We reward people who don't shake the tree, who don't bring up issues.
Right.
If the lowest level people aren't bringing up the issues, then no one in the command structure knows what the issue is, and then nothing is functional anymore. And you can see it in our society. There are planes that are falling out of the sky that are brand new. It's
So what did these guys tell you at the border that did any of them mention specifically that they weren't allowed to say anything? All
of them. Immediate termination.
What kind-
revamped gag orders?
Gag orders for telling the American population what they see on the ground.
I have buddies that are afraid to text me.
And they've set this system up to where these guys can't say a fucking word about what's going on, and then set another system up over here where they're only letting the media in that already have a pre-scripted monologue essentially about what's going on.
It's being
Feeding
handed. What they're allowed to say is being handed to them by the politicians,
Right.
And where they are allowed to film, where they're allowed to take their pictures, being handed to them by politicians.
And gagging
none
the
of them
people
are
that
doing
actually
the
have the
personal
real story.
responsibility part to be like, fuck that. Fuck that. I'm going to make my own YouTube channel. Fuck that. I'm going to go be Tucker Carlson and fight the system. None of them are doing it.
God, dude, if I had $1 billion, I'd go get every one of those fucking CBPs.
Hey, man.
I'd be like, hey, dude,
TNN.
you are fucking paid.
Yeah, TNN.
Right? Yeah.
TNN. Just start recruiting motherfuckers.
Serious. Well, what I'm saying is I would
Start
go
a Patreon.
Look,
Recruit.
those guys can't do their fucking job anyway. So if people are just crossing the fucking border,
Honestly,
even
don't
when
hire
they're
anyone.
there, I might as well go in there and just hand each one of them like, look, dude, here's $500,000. This should sustain you for a while. Quit your fucking job, tell your story, and do it on such a mass scale that it can't be fucking ignored.
Yeah.
Right? Because the only
What happens if all of CBP that's working the border? What happens if, as an organization, right? Because I don't quote me on this, but they may be a union. If they're not a union, they could operate like a union. What if they were like, hey, listen, I'm not coming to work today.
Yeah.
What then? And if they were all collectively, if they just picked one guy, just pick one guy that's like, dude, I got nuts. I'll do it. I don't have I don't have kids. I don't have a family. I don't have responsibility. I'll start a GoFundMe.
Yep.
Pick one guy to say why they all quit coming to work. Because you can't go after and fire all of them. You could only go after the one guy that came out and said stuff, right?
You know what's beautiful about what you're talking about right now is that it only takes fucking one. Usually
takes one
it
person.
only takes one or two people to really come through and be like, and then everybody else is like, all right, here we go.
Yep.
But it's that initial individual.
Fort
Yep.
Sumter, right?
What's that?
Fort Sumter.
Fort Sumter took one.
Fort
shot.
Sumter. It took one shot.
shot.
Also,
One shot.
I read that book that you told me to read. Read the whole fucking, read half.
Ordinary Gentleman.
What's that? Ordinary Gentleman.
Ordinary Gentleman.
Ordinary Gentleman. So I'm about halfway through it right now.
Amazing book.
It's an incredible book, but in one of the stories that they tell in the book was the initial was one of the individuals when they showed up. Now I'm going to butcher this whole fucking thing, including the names that are in it. But there was a high-ranking officer in the 101 police force, right?
Sure.
That was sent over from Hitler to basically eradicate Jews, and so these police units were going from town to town doing the unthinkable, which was killing. What's that?
The Einstruppen.
The Einstruppen,
saying that right.
killing men and women and children. Basically, they're
Stacking families together to not waste ammunition.
right. Their directive was just to show up to these fucking civilians' homes and just kill them all.
Yeah.
So what happened was this one particular individual, I think it was Heimlich.
I don't know. It's
Himmler.
been a long time.
I
since I've
think
read
it was
Heimlich Himmler?
I think
it definitely wasn't
Himmler. It was
Heimlich
Heimlich Himmler. No, I can't remember the guy's last name. Doesn't matter.
I don't
but
even know if Heimlich Himmler is right at all. It just sounds right.
it just sounds right. Yeah, Heimlich Himmler. Yeah, sounds great. But the commander of this particular group showed up and said to his men, and this was the first time that they had to do this. He said, "Listen, what you're about to do is absolutely horrific." And as tears ran down this man's face, he said, "If any of you don't want to take part in this, you may fall out of rank right now." Mm-hmm. And nobody moved. And eventually one man said, "I'm not going to do this," and walked out and stood outside of the rank and file. Is immediately after that. Now, nobody moved for a long time until that one person did it. And then subsequent to that, I think there were 14 men that fell out of rank and said, "I'm not doing this either."
That's why that book is so powerful and important.
Right.
Yeah.
And when that first individual fell out of rank and started getting lit up by one of the other ground commanders out there, the head dude, the head honcho, the guy that outranked everybody, the one that made the directive, if anybody doesn't want to do this can fall out of rank, pulled that guy over and said, "Listen, he is protected. I told him he could do this. He is not going to be berated. He's not going to be punished or berated by doing what he just did." And then everybody else kind of followed suit. Yep. So it took one brave and courageous leader to say, "You don't have to do this, but these are my orders direct from the Third fucking Reich that we have to do this." And then everybody else kind of fell out of rank and followed suit. And anybody throughout that entire process of the execution of any of the Jews that didn't want to do it, do you know what their punishment was? Yeah. What the punishment for anybody that didn't kill an innocent Jew was nothing. Nothing. That was the crazy fucking part about that entire eradication of the Jews, is that anybody that didn't want to participate in it, that never had any consequences. There were no consequences. So it just took one. And then generally an entire platoon to follow. One. As a matter of fact, there were multiple instances where one individual would say, "I am not going to kill these 3,500 fucking Jews today." And then all of his company would follow behind him and say, "Yeah, we're actually, none of us are doing this." And then none of those people fucking died.
Yep. Be the one. Be the one. That's the whole point of all of the social media stuff that I do. It's the reason that I quit my job. I'll be the one.
Yep.
Fucking here I am, send me. I'll be the one. I don't give a fuck.
It is so incredibly important to be the first one to be able to say, "Look, I'm going to stand out in front and actually make a fucking stand."
What are you going to do?
Look at anybody in fucking history that made a massive impact and a massive difference, including Martin Luther King.
What are you going to do to me? I cannot teach privates. I cannot teach rookies in the fire department. I cannot preach this concept of personal responsibility. I have this phrase about, like, don't judge a man by the color of his collar, judge him by the color of his character. If there's things worth dying for, there's things worth being written up for. Do the right thing, no matter if it means you lose your job. I can't fucking say that for years on end and not do it. So be the one.
I mean, that's the whole story of the Matrix, right?
It starts with you, man. It starts with you.
Yeah.
Why is his name Neo? It's the one.
Yeah.
To be the one.
Be the one.
It's the simplest solution to everything, man. It's the simplest solution to everything. It's just be the one.
Yep.
And the truly scary thing is, like, sometimes the one gets put on a cross.
And on the last podcast that we had, you had a really, like, the discussion on leadership was so fucking powerful, because it was, if you
it's just personal responsibility.
It's personal responsibility. You do the right thing and you go far enough, and pretty soon, and you do it long enough and hard enough and long enough and hard enough, and pretty soon you turn around and there's a fucking 100 people following you.
You do it long enough, there's an entire
because
religion
you
built
told
around
them,
you.
You didn't. It's not because you turn around and you fucking told them to fucking do it. It's because they were like, "Fuck, man, this guy's got something."
They just saw an alternative.
Yeah,
you just provide the alternative.
And to anybody fucking listening, there is a fucking alternative.
Yeah, you can be the difference.
You can literally be the.
It is if you work in one of these organizations, just be the one that's willing to be like, "I'm out. I'm out."
And here's why.
Don't call mainstream media. Call Sean Ryan. Call us. Call Ed Calderon. Call someone that has a platform that's willing to put you on it, and we will fucking put you on it.
And
we'll start a GoFundMe to help.
Yeah, and I guarantee if you get out there on some of these bigger platforms and the smaller platforms that have smaller audiences like we do,
an actual author will reach out to you and be like, "Hey, I'm going to write you a book."
You will make more fucking money if your worry is fucking money.
Laws of capitalism, baby. Laws of capitalism. If you're the one, then you're in demand.
Because the demand is for people to hear the fucking truth and want to know what's really going on. And that's why there's anybody that's still listening into this podcast 2 hours into a fucking podcast, because
they're all here.
Be
the one.
Be the one,
man.
Be the one to fucking stop, and everybody else will fucking take care of you. Believe me, the world will fucking take care of you. Nobody, there's plenty of us out there that is not going to leave you fucking high and dry.
Yeah, it's just no one believes it. Everyone believes that if they're the person that breaks, that if they're the person that ignores the sign, they're gonna get in trouble for it.
Dude, it's terrifying.
Yeah,
It would be fucking terrifying. Imagine being the only person in your unit in Afghanistan, put yourself back in Afghanistan and saying, there's a direct order to go do a thing. And you were the only guy in your entire fucking unit saying, I am not going to go do that thing. Dude.
yeah, man.
Yeah. It is a big fucking deal.
The only thing that
And they're going to throw UCMJ at you. They're going to.
The only thing that will galvanize you to have a belief system, like to have an ethos in your life that will allow you to be the one, is to accept the fact that you're fucking already dead, man.
Yeah.
You are on borrowed time. Your clock is going to stop ticking one day.
true.
And when your clock stops ticking, there's going to be a moment that you have to reevaluate what you did with your life. And you're going to remember the fact that you weren't the one. I don't want that.
Your actions echo through eternity.
Nothing I do will prevent the fact that my clock is going to stop ticking. I would rather it stop ticking on my terms with me having stood for what I believed for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take 51% of the population. Look at how far the transgender agenda has gotten, being such a tiny minuscule part of our population.
Yeah.
Imagine what Christian conservatives, professionals, people that believe in personal excellence, people that believe in family values, people that believe in some basic level of fucking morality.
It is the majority.
50 Cent.
Why the fuck are we the minority?
Yeah, 50 Cent and Little Pump came out last week and openly endorsed Donald Trump on Twitter. What is the cascade of that? What's the cascade of that?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
Be the one, man.
Be the one.
And that's one of the reasons why I think that like the hip hop industry is so important. Because the entire movement within the hip hop industry, the reason it exists is because of organizations, bands like NWA that were like, dude, fuck this, we're telling the story. Oh, I'm not allowed to say fuck the police on stage? Doing it.
Yep. Doing it.
Doing it.
Yep.
Right?
Who says I fucking can't?
Yeah. What are you going to do to me?
Right. Yeah. What are you gonna do?
What are you going to do?
You got to be the one. That's why I'm such a danger to most jobs.
I'm happy to be the one.
Most jobs that I have had,
I'm
they
not very
fear
governable,
me.
man. Yeah, I'm not
Right?
very governable.
Like,
I don't.
There have been many a time, whether it's a serving job, security work, whatever it is, where I'll come in, they're like, hey, we're going to start doing this thing, and everyone needs to do it. And I will look at my boss in the eye, or ex-boss, and I'll go, that's dumb, no.
Yeah, I'm not
And
doing that.
they're like, no, we need to start doing that. And I said, no, that's dumb, I'm not
But what
going to
if
do
you
that.
hadn't been the one? You'd still be making, well, you'd probably make okay money as a bartender. You don't have like nice tits, so maybe not the best. But like, imagine if you hadn't been the one. You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing.
Right.
You wouldn't be making the money you
Right,
make. You wouldn't have
exactly.
the opportunities you have.
Right.
When you decide that I'm going to be the one, the wake that you create propels you fucking forward.
Yeah.
It propels you into something new. It propels you into the place that you were supposed to be. The reason that you are sitting around feeling depressed, feeling anxious is because you aren't where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, that
When
is.
you just
That-
follow
that
your
truly is
gut
what- yeah.
and you do what you believe in, you will land in a place that you were supposed to be. I haven't been happier, I don't know, maybe ever, than I have the last 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
Because I put a year worth of, I'm gonna follow my gut.
Yeah.
And it has landed me in an incredible position.
Yeah, you'll know. I mean, you'll know. Your body fucking tells you.
A TNN
I mean,
position.
you know what's funny is when you and I went TNN position.
You fuck.
When you and Nolan were talking about going to the border, and then Nolan came to me and said, "Should I do this thing? Here's the reason why I think it's important." And we started talking about it. I started getting tingles in my body. Right? Just general tingle. Like,
This is scary.
you've got that feeling in the back of your fucking neck and you're like, you know what? If I'm feeling like you were nervous about going, first of all, you're like, I'm nervous about this. I don't know if I should. And first of all, we talked about it. I was like, that is indication number one that you should fucking
I
be
looked at
doing
you
it.
and I said, because I'm nervous,
Because
I know I should.
Yeah. And I said, because I got these fucking tingles and as gay as that may fucking sound, I don't give a shit. But it's when you have that feeling in your fucking body that like something is just okay, like it's right. It's the right thing to fucking do. Then just fucking do it.
Just do it.
You know, it's
Yeah, and well, I guess with Dad's approval, me and him are going to be on a nationally syndicated ABC news show on Thursday this week, telling this story.
And I fucking
We're
hope
going to
you
be
are.
on
And
mainstream media telling this story now.
yeah, and I
That's huge.
it is amazing.
And again, the guy that's going to have us on chose to be the one,
Chose to be the one.
and that created a platform for us to be on.
So
It just starts with you, man.
Right. It really does, man.
It's the simplest solution to
was,
everything.
It was the same.
And no one wants it. Everyone wants a different, easier solution that makes someone else handle the problem. You hire plumbers, you hire someone to change your fucking oil. Masculinity has lost itself where you aren't responsible for anything.
Right.
So, unfortunately, we do have to wrap this up so that way you're not sprinting through an airport.
That's going to happen.
You got to get your here. Okay.
So, action items.
Action items.
Be the one.
Be the one.
Take personal accountability.
Pursue personal excellence,
Yeah.
and it will change the world.
Yeah.
Dude, if something is fucking wrong, then identify it and find your fucking soapbox and get out there and yell it from the fucking rooftops. We've done that with the Second Amendment. We've done that with people that are in the Second Amendment space on social media,
Companies.
on YouTube, companies that are doing the things. Dude, get out there and fucking expose them. I mean, I love the fact that, like, dude, you don't hold back. You don't hold back for a second. When you're like, I don't give a shit what the political affiliation of people listening are. You were like, Trump did this and Trump did that.
There's been like 100 people listening to me. You know what I mean? But like,
Yeah, but I think
what are you going to do to me?
Yeah.
What are you going to do to me, man? I lost everything. I made the decision to walk from that job while my wife didn't have a job. I lost everything.
Yeah.
What are you going to take
There's
from me?
nothing more dangerous than a man with nothing to lose.
That's right.
What are you going to take from me?
Reach, and to that too, reach across the aisle, guys.
Yes.
If
Oh
you're-
my God, yes.
Reach across the aisle. Bring America back together. The phrase "Make
Shout out
America
Twister.
Great Again."
Yeah, I know.
What that is reaching out to a Democrat. That's reaching out to a liberal and finding common ground.
It's not selling
and
MAGA
building
Yes,
back
not
up.
selling fucking
It's
MAGA
building
hats,
back up our communities. It's hey neighbor, I love you, dude. Because we're all humans. Let's
Have a
build a better
conversation.
world.
If you are a fervent 2A absolutist,
Yep.
go find someone who's a fervent anti Second Amendment.
Right.
And have a conversation. Because what you will find is that all that person wants is safety and security for their family.
Yep.
We want the same thing.
That's exactly what we want.
We just have different views. What does the transgender movement, what do they want? They just want to be left alone.
Right.
They don't want the government to make laws. What did the gay community want originally? They just wanted the right to get married.
They wanted
Yeah.
to
They
exist.
They just wanted to fucking be left alone. They want all. I don't want to say all.
I think that's fundamentally what all of us kind of want.
Yeah, all
Just
humans just
live
want
and
to
let live,
have a
man.
happy life and be left alone, and we just have different glasses that we have different solutions that we're seeing. But
Right.
when we all sit down and say like, "Well, I want the same thing that you want," and I don't have a reason to not, like, I don't care. I don't want to make you not exist.
Yeah.
Who's telling me that you shouldn't exist? Who doesn't want you to exist? If it's just that one asshole over there in political office, we'll just get rid of that guy.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
I think there's two things if we were to actually do this like TNN thing, which is, the Tacticon News.
It's on camera.
Tacticon News Network. I really think there are two agendas that would be mainly on the docket, or at least underlying foundations of what the news outlet would be and what it would cover. It is one, to bring people of vehemently dissenting opinion over to have conversations with us.
Oh, yes.
Instead of living in an echo
yes.
chamber and talking
yes.
amongst ourselves, we can all agree on the same
that was
shit.
the whole
But
start of my platform.
I
was me sitting down with people that were anti-gun.
Yeah,
Some of
I
my
would-
first videos were young black guys that I was friends with, sitting down and being like, "So why don't you want to have a gun?"
Yeah.
And the conversation ends with them being like, "Well, shit, kind of makes sense."
It's always creepy when fucking Siri starts talking to her.
That's listening to you.
But that's element number one, and I think element number two is something that was really good, and what happened to you earlier happened to me. And hold on, let me give me a second. Let me get back to exactly that really threw me off was, dude. What I want to do with it is let me get back on track here. My brain is fucking fried. It is one, having conversations of dissenting opinion. Two, providing obvious truth through maybe a three-pronged approach. Let's do this. Bear with me, guys.
It's
Bear
not
with
right
me.
and wrong. It's reality.
It's not right and wrong. It's reality. Give the fucking truth exactly as it was delivered to us by the people that are in it. Get people. I think that was the other one. Get the people like you're already doing.
Yeah.
What you're already doing is getting the people that do not have command and control over anybody and giving them a voice.
Yeah.
Getting them to be able to.
Why do you believe what you believe?
Why do you believe
Because I
what you-
guarantee that your basic the transgender agenda is just the best evidence of it because it's the most. Man, my brain's starting to like quit on me too.
Yeah.
It's the most.
How many coffees is that?
It's the most not galvanizing. It's the most divisive topic in American culture right now. Is like, do women exist? You know,
Mm-hmm.
but again, if you sit any one of those people down, if you sit anyone down that supports the movement behind it, Their basic tenet and belief in life is that I am an autonomous human responsible for my own life and you can't tell me what to do with it.
Right.
That is the same fucking belief that we are screaming about in the 2A community. It is the same core fundamental belief system. We share it as people. Why are we being divided? Who doesn't want all of us to be on the same page?
Right.
Who benefits from us all not being on the same page? Is it one fucking bird with two wings?
So galvanizing instead of polarizing is really what we're trying to do here.
We're Americans.
Yeah.
We're Americans.
Yeah, we're fucking human beings.
And there should be some moral control, right?
Right.
We should not be castrating young boys. We should not. There should be moral control. We should be willing to call a spade when it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if the two most divided communities share a basic core tenet belief, then we aren't a divided country.
Right.
We are being told we are divided. We are being told there's a border crisis. We are being told that the migrants are a threat. We are being told that these assholes in a cave in the middle of Afghanistan are a direct threat to your family. It's bullshit.
Right. It is.
Bullshit.
It is. And all of that the aforementioned is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all horseshit.
Yeah.
It's being fed to us to divide us because
Because in the division, money is made. In the friction, money is made.
yeah,
did we fall?
money is made, and at the same time, it becomes very apparent. Like you have to fucking pick a side. The true enemy that exists isn't identified. Isn't what's the word? The real enemy to all of human beings in the history of humanity is the fucking government. Period.
think of it.
It's always been the power structure.
It's always been the power
The
structure.
enemy was the Catholic Church when only they could read the Bible.
Think of it like this:
The Spanish Inquisition lasted for 2,000 years.
the big bad in the Wizard of Oz wasn't the witch.
Yeah, it wasn't the lion.
It was the
wasn't
wizard
Tin
behind
Man.
the curtain.
Right.
Yeah.
He
Right.
was the one doing it all. Right.
What a simple thing.
It is.
Right.
It is.
It's right there in front of us.
It's right there in front of us,
It's
but
not the big bad. She dissolved in water. That's the idea. It's paper, right?
Right.
It's paper. The thing you're looking at, this monstrosity, this terrifying object, melts in water.
It's smoke and fucking mirrors.
What is behind the curtain pulling the string?
And
why
we'll
don't we
never
make
fucking
movies like
see
that
it if we're
anymore?
constantly looking on the other side of the aisle, if we're constantly fighting ourselves, if we're constantly in some racial turmoil, this racism that,
Dude, the
sure,
American
there is-
government has been telling you that they're doing this for a long time. They haven't been quiet about it. Just like Hamas isn't quiet about what they want to do if they ever had the opportunity. They're not. The powers that WEF, Charles Schwab, just Google him. Just Google what he says. He's not quiet about
They're
his
telling
intentions.
you. They're openly telling you.
They just know that you're too stupid to believe them.
It's like when you would go, it's like when we would go, because I know we all did this. We were going out. Where are you going?
Yeah, when your
I'm gonna go
parents are
drink
like-
and do drugs.
Yeah. When your parents, like in high school, they're like, "What are you doing tonight?" And be like, "I'm gonna go get so fucking high that I make terrible decisions." And they'd be like, "Ha ha ha," and you're like,
Have a good time.
"It's an
Be
easy,
safe.
it's a really good lie. I'm
I'm
just
gonna go bang
tell
out
you
some
what
babes."
I'm doing because it's so extreme you won't believe it."
Right.
Look at the WEF.
Like if UN today was just like, hey guys, by the way, we're funding hundreds of thousands of migrants from countries that want to kill America and we're funding them. You'd be like, that doesn't seem
That
reasonable.
doesn't seem plausible.
Yeah.
I don't. Who wrote that news story? Is that an AI driven?
But I think what's worse about that is they can do that and then point to you and say, what the fuck are you going to do about it?
yeah.
And then just sit there and keep doing it.
Because it's a simple human dynamic. It's a simple human dynamic. There are so many. It's like the conversation we had in the last podcast where we were talking about like what ADHD or what PTSD is, right? They're evolutionary protective things. The evolutionary protection for human beings is that we have to exist in a tribe. So you don't want to be the one, just by evolution. You don't want to be the one that's out in the cold on your
Right.
own.
Oh, yeah.
You,
That's a
you-
good point.
You have to be in the zebra tribe to survive the lion attack. If you're the one out there on your own, you're going to get fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So all they have to do is play on basic human emotion. Basic human emotion is I don't want to be out in the cold by myself.
Nope.
And it's just the hardest step to take. Is the first step.
Right.
The first step. Fear is a mile wide and an inch deep.
Dip.
Yeah.
That's a good
Fear is a
point.
mile wide and an inch deep.
So where can we find you?
Where can we find you, sir?
Mad Minute Tacticians on all major social media platforms.
Nice.
And soon, TNN.
And soon,
And what,
Tacticon News Network.
It's on camera.
It's on
you
camera.
mentioned it one more in the beginning, but what would you like these guys from different departments to do?
Hey, yeah, if you guys work in a professional role, if you agree with anything that I'm saying, send me a patch, send me a coin, send me something from your department because it will just show the overwhelming amount of support from the lowest ranking file guys in the country saying these systems don't work anymore. Because you know, just like I know, they don't work anymore.
There are more of you than there are of them.
And there are way fucking more
If
of us
the
than them.
ants would just realize they outnumber us.
It's so true.
It's not a combat thing, man. It's
No,
just
it's not.
just once that power structure looks at us and the bulk majority are saying we're going this way, the leadership follows the money.
Like realistically, how like fucking tangents, but how many people in fucking government are there? Like not just like your little DMV workers. I'm talking like how many people realistically in government pulling the fucking strings?
Right.
100, 120, 150 maybe?
Yeah.
To 356 million?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the House of Reps and the Congress and then the executive branch, there's
I don't even think it's any of them, man. I don't think it's any of them.
There's low
it's-
thousands, four figures.
It's when you look at stuff like the entire CIA, the NSA, Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, all of them report to one fucking guy.
Right.
That guy's the problem. You know?
Yeah.
It's not the FBI agents. It's the fact that they all are reporting to this one dude and he has an agenda because he's a human. Humans have agendas. That's what we do.
But like,
yeah, so to your point, there's actually far fewer of them
we
than
can even
possibly
let's even make it
imagine.
bigger. 100,000, 200,000, 300,000.
Dude, make it
even
to
if it was.
356 million. I'll take those odds any day.
And the thing is, a revolutionary type movement inside the United States could happen without a single shot being fired, without any kind of violence, because it's just politicians are a certain personality type that have no personal fucking opinions about anything.
Nope.
They just go with the wind, and that's what they like. They like the power. They like the expensive steak dinners. They like being in those places. They make decisions based off of how can I stay in this position. So
Right.
they will just fucking go with what the rank and file wants them to do. The problem is we're not doing what we want to do. We aren't dragging the politicians along with us, which was the point of our system.
Right.
Was to drag the politicians along with us and to create a government system that was so incapable of accomplishing anything that it could never trample our rights in the first place. That it would just, look at how a law gets passed. It's such a stupid system. It was designed that way. It was designed to just never get
The
anything done.
more efficient the
founding
government
fathers-
gets, the worse it gets
the
for
founding
us.
fathers looked at personality types and understood that a politician type personality type was a dangerous personality type because they didn't have a core ethos. They were Machiavellian. They believed that they knew everything, but they would go with the prevailing winds. So they built a system that we were the prevailing winds. We fucking forgot that.
Yeah.
Be the one.
Be the one.
Be the one. All
That's
right.
going to be a t-shirt.
Yeah. So,
So that's it. Until next time.
love you guys.
And
Thanks
with
for
that,
having me.
We bid thee a
a
queef.
queef.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's okay.
It is.